Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Six Nations. This one's Scotland versus Ireland. Now, a little fun fact about the Six Nations competition. These are the only two sides that can still do the Grand Slam. Both having a win in round one. Scotland over Italy, Ireland over England. And currently they sit 3 and 4 due to the fact that they have that game in hand. But at the end of this contest, unless of course there's a draw, someone will be the clear favourite for the Six Nations competition. But we are about 15 minutes away from the kickoff. It is going to be at Murrayfield, so 2 home games for Scotland in a row. That can be considered a good thing early on, but not so good when you get to the later stages and you're having more away games than you're having in front of your home crowd. Looking through at the starting lineup, though, for Scotland, it's looking strong for this contest. Rory Sutherland, Dave Cherry, and Xander Fagerson. And at the front row, Gray and Gilchrist in the locking duo. Little bit of familiarity in there for the Scottish, and also, of course, you've got a lot of Glasgow Warriors players scattered throughout this 15 as well. Matt Fagerson at 6, Rory Darge at 7, and Jack Dempsey closes out that 4-pack as the number 8. Ben White and Finn Russell. Now, this game is going to be, in some regard, you could say the old versus the new when it comes to that fly half battle. Finn Russell, the more experienced veteran. Then you've got Sam Prendergast, the young X-Factor for the Irish. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not Russell does get the better of him. Tom Jordan in the midfield alongside Hugh Jones, who can be an outstanding player on any given day. Duan Vandermerwe at number 11, Darcy Graham at number 14, and Blair Kinghorn as the fullback. Looking through at the starting lineup for the away side. And once again, Ireland, they have got a stacked side too. Andrew Porter at number 1, Ronan Kelleher 2, and Finlay Bealham slotting in at tight head prop. James Ryan and Byrne as the locking duo. Byrne's meters made throughout a game is very impressive. The breakdowns hit, he does go extremely well. Peter O'Mahony out there on the field, one of the more experienced kids across all of these players on the park today. Josh Bannon-Flower and Caelan Doris to close out the loose forward trio. Jamison Gibson Park, he was outstanding in the game up against England, and I don't expect anything different here. Sam Prendergast, the young number 10, as the starting fly half. Bundy Arkey managed to score himself a try last week. Robbie Henshaw on his outside at 13, with James Lowe, Mac Hansen, and Hugo Keenan at number 15. So, those are the starting lineups, ladies and gentlemen. Morning, says Kerr. Welcome in. Hopefully you are doing well. I assume you've already had one trip down under at this point, or are you still actually in Australia/New Zealand, Kerr? But yeah, hopefully it's all going well for yourself. Come on, the Scots. We in Cape Town missing your Guinness beer, and greetings from the pub, Kerr, says Jimbo. And hello, Hamish, and hello to all. I hope Scotland wins, but I'm sure the Irish will get the job done. And nice one, Jimbo, says Kerr there as well. Looking through at the reserves for this contest, it is going to be Ewan Ashman at number 16, Pierce Gorman, and then also Hurd as the 18, Skinner and Brown alongside Jamie Ritchie. So actually going with that 6-2 split here for Scotland. Ireland, they did not fall into that same boat. They have instead gone with their 5-3, but Jamie Dobie as well as Stafford McDowell as the last two Scottish players. For Ireland, Dan Sheehan, X-Factor to come off the bench, Cian Healy, and also Clarkson, Beard and Conan as the other two forward replacements, with Connor Murray, Jack Crowley, and Gary Ringrose. So pretty formidable bench, in fact, for both of these sides. So it's going to be a great match, or at least I hope it is. And currently on the way to Wellington, was round New Zealand last week and heading back again now, says Kerr. So yeah, hopefully you've been enjoying a little bit of the, I want to say nice New Zealand weather, but depending on where you've been at different points of the week, you've probably experienced a little bit of a mixed bag. And back again on my favourite channel, says Bokang, and it is great to see you back once again. Yo, Hamish, good to see you, brother, says Joe Bro. And let's go, says Yarn in there as well. But the previous two Six Nations results from just this round, if you don't want spoilers and you haven't seen those games, I'm giving you a little bit of a warning because we're just about to put them up on the screen, although we also did show the table earlier on, so that would have probably been enough of a spoiler anyway. But here we go. These are the two results. We saw a 7-point game between Italy and Wales, 22 points to 15. The home side getting the job done, although not securing a bonus point win in that match for the Italians. For England, that was a massive win, and perhaps it will be the biggest win of the round, unless the underdogs here, Scotland, can get the job done, but then they're at home, so were England. The comparisons will be made, but either way, that was a massive win for the English up against one of the favourites of the competition. There is 6 degrees Celsius at the moment as today's weather in Murrayfield, so it is chilly, but luckily it is dry, which is something we haven't been able to say about the other 2 contests. And weather was pretty good last week, actually, says Kerr. So that's probably a bonus. We've had a really mixed kind of week, at least where I am. Up when we were in the North Island, it seemed to be a little bit more consistent, only one torrential rain while we were up there. Other than that, though, yeah, it's been quite warm. We have got there hoping that Ireland have shaken out the Six Nations autumn rust, the autumn internationals rust. If not, Scotland could cause an upset. Says Zero, and Calvin Nash replacing Mac Hansen. Also the late change for the Irish. That's the thing. Like, Calvin Nash, he can be an absolutely outstanding player, but at the same time, I feel like he might be the guy that unfortunately has to face off with Duhan van der Merwe and may not quite get the better of him throughout this 80 minutes. But, like I said though, he can also have a great day at the office, so perhaps it could be just that. Score prediction, says Bo Kang. It's a tricky one for this game, I will be honest, because like Ireland are 70% likely to win this game, or roughly anyway from the win predictor. But Scotland at home, you know, that kind of adds, for me, a little bit more of a 50-50 factor to this contest. The late change for the Irish, that could also maybe put a % or 2 in favour of Scotland. But Ireland are just so clinical. So it's a very tricky one. Honestly, I think whoever wins it will win it by less than 7, maybe even less than 5. But I think there'll be a couple big moments throughout this game that help determine who's able to win it, whether it's an intercept try or a big penalty one in the breakdown to get those extra 3 points. I think it's going to be must-see when these two sides go head-to-head. Scotland got a win, so that's how Africa can stay number 1. Says Bandito, and Gerard Butler at 3 from 300 is at the match. Says 0. He's been to quite a few Scottish games, hasn't he? Gerard Butler. Quite the rugby fan. And hello everyone, hoping for an Ireland win. But not counting my chickens, and agree, Hamish, it could be very close, says Brian. And gee, wouldn't it be wonderful if Scotland wins, says Bruce. And thanks, Hamish, for the commentary today, says Zero Connection. No worries at all. It's been great to be back for these Six Nations games. It was weird last week, like I said, not being able to cover anything. Instead, we did have the replacement. Here's Finn Russell with his joggers on, as we learnt we do call them in the north. I had a hunch England would win yesterday. I was right. I have a hunch today Scotland to win. They look very strong against Italy, and they have better discipline today. Scotland 25, Ireland 23, says General. So you've got the doubling down, I guess you could say. You got it right yesterday. Now you have a feeling that the Scottish can get the job done. Blair Kinghorn at the back up against Hugo Keenan. I think that's going to be one of the key head-to-heads, as well as, honestly, they aren't exactly facing off, but it's still the midfield combo. Bundy Archie versus Hugh Jones. And also, we've got to remember how dangerous Darcy Graham can be. He's got James Lowe in front of him for this game. Sione Tuipulotu versus Bundy Archie would have been a juicy matchup, either one, to wear that number 12 jersey for the British and Irish Lions. Hamish, what do you reckon? Yeah, I think so. Although Ollie Lawrence, if they want to play him as an inside centre, he's certainly putting his name up there at the moment. But there's more than likely a chance he'll be on the outside at number 13. He goes to a lot of Scotland games, says Kerr, which is always nice to see. Yeah, there he is. Tell you what, you're way ahead in terms of the coverage. Whoever originally mentioned Gerard Butler, he's only just showed up on my screen, unless you saw him in like the early build-up. They're normally a bit delayed here in New Zealand, but I didn't realise it was that bad. We just got the national anthems now, and then we will be underway only 5 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. And to let you know how important this game is, this is how the table currently sits. As you can see, France and England, they are at the top of the bunch. But the big difference is they have got that game that has already been played for this round of the Six Nations. Scotland and Ireland. I mentioned it right at the start. Either of these sides still have the potential of doing the Grand Slam. They are the only two sides who can still do so. And at the end of this game, unless there's a draw, which I don't think a draw would actually count you towards the Grand Slam, one team can still do it. The other side will be playing catch-up. Now, Ireland come in as favourites. They were able to beat England narrowly last week. Scotland beating the Italians, who had a decent game up against Wales, but still never really showed that same attacking mindset as they had up against the Scottish last week. And of course, we should mention that next week it is a round of the URC. So for these two sides, they have a rest week. They can get away with emptying the tank, throwing absolutely everything into it, and trying to walk away with that big victory. We have got the Andy is there to check out his Lions contenders. And come on, the boys in green, says Richard. I think a draw is very possible. Not much between both teams on recent performances, says General. And hi, everyone. Hope you're all well. I'm going with Ireland by 15. Bonus point win, but also hoping for an upset. Okay, so you're saying either Ireland are going to breeze through and get a really big win, or it's going to be close and Scotland possibly sneak it. I assume that's the kind of mindset. And now the bagpipes at Murrayfield. You've got the Scottish national anthem, Flower of Scotland, and then we are underway. Looking through at the starting lineups, anyone who hasn't seen them already for Scotland, Sutherland, Cherry, and Fagerson as the front row, Gray and Gilchrist in the locking duo. Matt Fagerson slots in at number 6, Rory Darge 7, and then at number 8 they have gone with Jack Dempsey. So a lot of Glasgow Warriors throughout the starting lineup for the Scottish. Ben White and Finn Russell. Russell could be the X factor, but he could also be the downfall of the Scottish side. I feel like he has heard that every single game that he has played for them. He's either going to be the hero or it's just not going to work out for that man, but he needs support. Tom Jordan on his outside in that number 12 jersey. Hugh Jones 13. I'm expecting at least one try from that man in this contest. Duan van der Merwe, Darcy Graham, and Blair Kinghorn as the number 15. Then in the Irish starting lineup, it is Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher, and then alongside him will be Finlay Belham. In terms of the locking duo, James Ryan and Tyg Byrne. Then in the loose ball trio, Peter O'Mahony, Josh Bannon Fleur, and Caelan Doris is in there as well. Jameson Gibson Park, he has so much form at the moment. He recently returned from his injury, but he just keeps going. And he certainly will throughout this game as well. He's got number 10, Sam Prendergast, on the outside. Bundy Aki and Robbie Henshaw in the midfield. And then in terms of the back three, James Lowe, the late change of Kelvin Nash rather than Matt Hansen, and Hugo Keenan at number 15. And Scotland have to disrupt Ireland's ruck to slow the ball down, says Claus. Let's go Scotland, says LFG. I think Ireland will win it in the last 20 minutes, probably close till then in my opinion. And to be fair, when you look through at the benches, Ireland do have a little bit more experience coming off that bench. Dan Sheehan as an X-Factor as well. And then alongside that, they have got Gary Ringrose as a replacement. Connor Murray is there. And Vin Russell doesn't know the words, says Bill. And Van der Merwe sounds very Scottish, hashtag sarcasm, says Bruce. And Scotland needs to start very well and score points, says Salah in there as well. Yeah, they have to be competitive for this first 20 minutes. And because this game is being played in dry conditions, extremely cold, I should have mentioned 6 degrees Celsius, but because it's going to be dry out there, I feel like there's going to be a lot more running rugby than we saw between, first of all, Wales and Italy. And then after that, we did see England versus France, quite a kicking, territorial type of performance from both teams as well. The match ball is about to be delivered by an Olympic gold medalist they have mentioned, Chris someone, I didn't quite catch the last name. And McMurva says, Sean there, that's a summer's day in Edinburgh. Is it? I'm sure they eventually, get up to 15 or so. That would be probably burning type of temperature, is it? I do think the Irish bench is going to be a factor, says Brian. And am I the only one who misses the box, says Bokang? A few people do, but they will be in action in about July. So it's a little while now, but we get to see them still play each other in the URC. The South African Derby's a fantastic one happening between the Bulls and the Stormers not too long ago. We did cover that one on the channel. Chris Hoy, that is the last name. I do think the Irish bench, I read that one, didn't I? Hello. Scotland will win by 14, says Drape, and Ireland need to start well with ball carriers. And we never in history have France not struggled against England. And also Russell D. Max Smith, talent, but prone to overcooking the pie at times. Out of the three, I'd go with Russell because he is the best points kicker. Edinburgh temperature is the same as Edinburgh score sheet, really reaches double digits. Oh, firing the shots early. But yeah, they've struggled a little bit, Edinburgh, haven't they, in the URC compared to what you expect? Like, they've got some sensational players. But Glasgow at the moment, they seem to be dominating in terms of this squad, the extra numbers, and in the starting lineup, a lot of Glasgow men getting the chance. I'm just warming up. Hammy says Drape, and Scotland will win by 14. That's a big margin. What's up, guys? Come on, Scotland says here, and come on, Ireland says JD. But the referee James Dolman for this contest. We are now pretty much ready to go for the last game of round 2. And got a survey today, gave Kiwi Lads 5 stars. Thank you very much, Bruce. I almost had a sponsorship today, but then I learned it was a scam, so that was ideal. But they were impersonating like a real person for a company. So that was interesting. But we managed to work it out. Jack Dempsey nicely taken. And inside of the 22, Scotland now get first possession of this contest. Scotland by 10, says Claus. The extra advantage given to India and Champions Trophy is stupid. They act so arrogant, says Noma. But now down towards the halfway line, nicely taken at the back for Hugo Keane, and he slipped over. In fact, I don't know whether you call that a slip. It was more so he dug a divot with his foot and slightly sunk. But now James Lowe kicking it downfield off the right boot, so it doesn't quite get that same distance. And misses the tackle on Blair Kinghorn. First test of the Six Nations for Ireland, says Stephen. I mean, to be fair, they were very close with England. Although that was also down to England scoring late a couple of times. But they did that same thing up against France and ended up winning the game. Now kicking it high, chasing after this will be Darcy Graham. Never looked like catching it though, overran it. And James Lowe, 40 metres out from the line now. Ireland in possession. Jameson Gibson Park goes across to Doris. Here comes that Irish backline of Peter O'Mahony. Experienced head shuts it down. Sam Prendergast goes to the sky. And it's going to be chased hard by Calvin Nash. The late inclusion in this Irish lineup sits up for Cherry. Goes across to Kinghorn. Looking for the 50-22, but Prendergast is back. And now 90 seconds in. Looks for the torpedo kick. That is a massive one. It's gone 22-22. And Blair Kinghorn now running this one forward. Tries a little chip and chase. That one's only gone about 22 metres. Looked for the offload and couldn't quite get it away. Picked up by James Lowe, who has then dropped it. But it's still on the side of Ireland. This game started at a very fast pace. I'll be honest, how much sleep did you get? I got like 2.5 hours. I probably should have tried to get more, but it was only a very brief sleep for myself. Now Gibson Park once again going for the box kick. Charging forward here, Blair Kinghorn had to run a long way, but has dropped it. Gone now into the hands of James Ryan. Gibson Park finds Prendergast, who tries the cross kick. Calvin Nash waits for the sit-up of the ball and nicely claimed by Duan van der Merwe. They will go back for the original penalty. And Olin Hamish says, Robert, welcome in. Left it behind or dropped it, says JD. And greetings, says Steve V in the chat as well. Hello, come on Scotland, says Sebastian. And do we have a break after this match till the 22nd? So for the Six Nations, it is, but there is also going to be the URC taking place next week. Super Rugby kicks off. And then I don't think we're too far away from another leg of the Sevens as well. And Hamish, we need tips on how not looking tired, mate. I couldn't tell. Stay hydrated, says here. There's been quite a bit of water consumed just because of the dry throat from the 3 streams yesterday. But I wouldn't say that I think it's the shadow helps a little bit. Because if you could see, I've got some pretty dark rings under the ice, but I think the lighting helps me out. And Canes, says Kerr. And yeah, they're the opening contest, aren't they, up against the Crusaders? So that should be a pretty awesome fixture on Friday night. And it actually will be Friday night for yourself, Kerr. Being in New Zealand at the time, Super Rugby will save the world. Says Drape, if Kyle Steyn is playing, Scotland will win. He is not, no. Missing from this game. Nice little backline movement here for Ireland after the first scrum of the match is successful. Henshaw runs it up to the 22. Gibson Park, cross to the right-hand side. Inside ball from James Lowe. Very flat to Tyke Byrne. Now, Gibson Park, Prendergast, off to Henshaw. This is what Scotland needed to avoid. Peter O'Mahony running out wide. Great low tackle from Darcy Graham. Now short ball to Porter. They're only 10 metres out now, Ireland. Trying to get up. And go again, 5 metres now from the line. 4 minutes into the contest as well. Plenty of time for Ireland to try and work themselves towards that bonus point, which of course they will be chasing to get bigger gap between them, France and England. Now still 5 metres out. Finn Russell has to be careful not to rush up. Darcy Graham does just that, leaves a gap. Henshaw steps on the inside. Tackled by Duan van der Merwe. Short pick and go from Gibson Park, and he's going to be held back just by Scotland. Advantage in favour of the Irish now. Now Josh Van den Flower across to Prendergast. This is when he's dangerous, when he's got that advantage. That was almost a deliberate knockdown from Tom Jordan. They will go back for the original penalty. Here's a challenge, Hamish. How would you plug the upcoming Super Rugby season and persuade a bunch of Northerners to watch it? That is a challenge, isn't it? Because that's the thing. They're also going to have to get up in the morning, like early on. Because some of the games will be kicking off at about 7 a.m. for you guys in the north. I just think it's a slightly different style than the URC. But, you know, you'll get to see fast-paced rugby. Both sides in most games will look for the bonus point, which you have to get for 3 tries or more than your opposition. So there's going to be plenty of tries. That's about it, really. I don't know what else to say about Super Rugby. It's one of those ones that if you give it a chance, you probably like it. If you don't want to watch it, though, I guess you'll miss it. That's obvious. I'm hoping Scotland win this match, by the way, says Boy 10. And I'm glad I'm in Thailand rather than the UK, says Steve V. A surprise here would be greatly welcome for the England team. Well, that's the thing. Let's say Scotland cause an upset here, which they have the possibility of doing, although first they have to defend this rolling maul 5 metres out from the line, and they have just sacked it, so it is going to be a penalty advantage in favour of the away side yet again. Ireland in possession. Buniaki drops it. Finn Russell boots it as far as he can. After hearing the whistle, I would say. Call me convinced, says Sebastian. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be a very awesome competition. We're going to get to see quite a few of the transfer players get chances early. Artie Savia playing up against, or playing for Moana Pacifica, so he'll be playing up against the Canes now. And last time I was in Glasgow, I felt like Somalia. Well, it felt like Somalia. I'm not sure it's a big upset if Scotland wins, says Stephen Duffett. They are considered about the $3 underdogs, so it is still a relatively big one, definitely because people have picked Ireland to do the Grand Slam. So in that regard, I would say it is considered quite a big one. But then at the same time, I think Scotland supporters are quietly confident that their team should be able to get the job done anyway. But 5 metres out from the line, Ronan Kelleher throws it in, nicely taken by Tyke Byrne. Josh Van den Flower offloads it up to Doris. The 3 men with the headgear on. They're only missing Matt Hansen, but sadly he is not going to be playing in this game. James Lowe. They're getting close. Still 1 metre out from the line here. Gibson Park. Oh, was that a knock-on on the ground from the Irish 9? If not, it's going to be a try out wide. Will they check it? Or is it just going to be the try? 7 minutes in though. Kelvin Nash, the simplest try he will score probably of the whole Six Nations. Just a wide cutout pass straight into the bread basket. And does get the first try of the contest. Try Ireland, says 0. And try says JD, try says Kerr. If it was nay for your wellies, where would you be? Says Stephen. A go that Scott says HM. Yeah, I'm curious about that breakdown. A knock on, methinks, says Kerr. And it's a flat pass, but I think it's good for Sam Prendergast. The intention of throwing it backwards was there. But yeah, that breakdown, I just want to see it again. Don't know whether or not the TMO is looking at it. Edinburgh is in a unique place. I never get tired of going there. And all counties supporting Scotland with desperate fingers crossed. There's Robert Wood. Now lining up this kick, Sam Prendergast. And he has got it over. Yeah, Edinburgh is one of the best cities in the UK. A beauty of a place, says here. And no knock on, great try, says JD. That's going to make it now 7-0 in favour of Ireland. The exact start that they were after. And yeah, very good wide cutout pass. Scotland caught with a lack of defence out wide. I like it when you announce the name Dalton Papali'i, says Quandile. And also coming to Ireland, says Reniard. Oh, sorry, that's not Reniard. That is a Rent a Ghost. Rent a Ghost. Where are you renting a ghost for? Halloween, I assume. That one's going to be kicked high from Scotland off the kick off. So much room. And that's going to be knocked on, but a penalty goes the way of Ireland for a push in the air. In fact, no, a push beforehand. That's 4 against Scotland already. Welcome in, Roof. Hope you're doing well. I don't want to sound cocky. Hope we don't score too many points versus Scotland like them guys. Says Dennis. So don't want to sound cocky, but you're going to make a statement that sounds extremely cocky. But I get what you're saying. Scotland are a side that a lot of people do have a soft spot for. I'm available for all your parties. We'll haunt your in-laws for free, says Rent a Ghost. I'll have to keep that in mind. And Scotland giving away penalty, says South Kid. And try, says Brian in there as well. Total penalties conceded. They've actually got 3 against Scotland at the moment rather than the 4. I might actually get a little bit sneaky here. Once we have another stoppage. Looks like, HIA for Tyke Byrne. Now, I heard a new law that is going to be happening relatively soon, and that involves the situation of a player who gets a head knock. I have to remember what the system is, but it's a player who gets a head knock. If he fails his HIA, the player who hit him actually has to go from the field for a bit of time. It's something that they're going to be trialling, but we have got a scrum here for for Scotland after a bit of a mistake at the back of the line out. Now, I have switched over to the TAB coverage here in New Zealand, so I'm about 30 seconds ahead of what I was, so that's quite good. So hopefully we will be able to keep you a little bit more up to date. But scrum feed for Scotland, 40 metres out from their own line, and Ben White about to feed this ball in. That's a big scrum from Ireland. The ball stays on the side of Scotland now, looking for the back line. It's going to be knocked on. Jameson Gibson Park manages to claim the ball for the Irish yet again. Had quite a bit of possession early on in this match. Of course, giving away multiple penalties has been a bit of a factor there. I'll run this one forward. Andrew Porter. Nice Prendergast strike. Says O'Brien. Now going out wide. James Lowe, great hands. Somehow manages to keep the ball in the field of play. 11 minutes into the contest now. Quick pick and go from Ireland. And it looks like Scotland have managed to get the ball back in the breakdown. Big run forward from Fagerson, that being Xander. Now 22 metres out from their own line here. And the Scottish trying to clear their lines. Looks like Ireland making a nuisance of themselves in the breakdown. Try to slow it down. And we have good there. God, didn't the English look pretty good versus France? They did extremely well in that contest. When does the Super Rugby start? Says Far. It is going to be taking place next Friday at 7 p.m. That is the first game. We are going to be covering it on the channel. And hey, how's it, buddy? Just tuned in and was surprised to see you without your suit. Hamish, says Roger. Or do you wear it? Or do you just wear it when the ABs play, says Roger? It's more so the fact that it's only one game at this stage. Like, I could have worn it yesterday, but at the same time, I had recently worn it for a wedding. So I thought, no, I'll go with a casual look this time. But well spotted. I should mention, right, looks like there's a little bit of an injury here for Ben White. That is not what the Scottish will be after. Here are only 20 seconds behind the BBC coverage. Tell you what, I'll take it, because I think we were about a minute behind on Sky Sport. And which anthem is Ireland using in this tournament? I think it's just the normal Ireland one. So, of course, not the national anthem per se, but the rugby anthem, I guess you could call it. That's 20 seconds to filter out the BBC wokery, says Steve V. Yeah, just dropping that ball for Finn Russell as they went for that back line. And it looks like Ben White, just while he was on the ground, it might have actually been a bit of a finger in the eye from Gibson Park. It wasn't at all intentional. He was going for the ball and Ben White's head was right next to it. So he got the one wrong. But it looks like he's going to be all right to continue doing a lot of this, a lot of blinking. And Georgia beat who? 110-0. It was a European team, wasn't it? Austria, I think, says Grey Rugby. Says Grey Lobster. How did the wedding go? Did you meet your future wife there? Says Dennis, the wedding went all right. I can't guarantee that I met a future wife, though. But, yeah. Got sunburnt. That wasn't ideal. On the foot as well. Anyone who hasn't had a sunburnt top of your foot, don't plan on getting one. It is absolutely awful in terms of the next few days of trying to walk. Now, Jave Cherry claimed that ball for Scotland. They'll be in possession once more. They need to keep this ball for 10 phases or so just to build a bit of confidence, but instead Ben White's going to kick it away. So that didn't happen yet, but I'm sure they'll be working on it eventually. Darcy Graham, once again, going to be running this ball down. James Lowe slaps that one back, nicely taken by Xander Fagerson. Now back to the left again. Currently on the halfway line here for Scotland, Finn Russell with the skip pass. It's going all right so far, although they have now dropped that ball. I tell you what, Ireland, that's a bit of a dodgy play from Duan van der Merwe. I think he just pushed the Irish player over as he was trying to claim it, although I think they also ended up in the same place. Can you check that shove in the back? I can't do an Irish accent, but there was a shove in the back. And there was a big shove in the back by Duan van der Merwe. In fact, it wasn't really a shove. It was more of a thrust. That sounds dodgy, but it was. He kind of just ended up giving him a half cuddle from behind. Right, they're going to check this. This might be bad for Duan van der Merwe. Congratulations to Dracus du Plessis with his win this morning against Strickland. Yeah, now 2-0 up over Sean Strickland. And they're checking this. This could not be good. And we have got their husband. Are you on Hammy to die, says Drake. An open bar at the wedding. I believe there was. I was running a lot of drinks for like the fam. I ended up getting drinks for my grandparents and whatnot throughout the evening. So I visited the bartender quite a bit. Your Irish accent just lost 4 viewers. That's fair enough. It was actually really bad that I'm surprised we didn't end up with more viewers dropping off. But it was a push in the back from Duan van der Merwe. And see, I think that Duan van der Merwe didn't necessarily straight away know that he didn't have the ball, Calvin Nash. No, he saw it. He saw it. I was trying to make a slight excuse for him, but this is looking like penalty try, yellow card. And lost contact, says Brian. And what a snore fest, says Juan. It's been quite fast-paced at the moment. Ireland are very boring. They've gone all right. They're going to have 2 tries after 13 minutes. How is that boring? We've also got one of the quickest backlines in world rugby. Was the bartender blonde or in Swedish? No. I think brunette and New Zealander. And Ireland, I read that one in time for Cornwall to have a team in a 7-nation tournament. Says Steve V. Right, so because they're so close to the try line, you're not allowed, of course, to tackle a man without the ball. And because it is so close to the try line, this is where it gets awkward. Can't be a penalty try. The other Scotland player was covering. Okay, they don't have a penalty try, but the reasoning behind it is not because of the Scotland player covering, but because the ball ended up dead. Let's talk about your new haircut. It's not really new. I've had it for about 2 weeks, but because we haven't done many live streams, you guys haven't really seen it. Now, okay, Duan van der Merwe, he will be sent to the bin for 10 minutes. This is going to be a great chance here for Ireland to extend their lead. South African always cheating, says Bill. And we have got they always look worse in slow motion, says Steve. But yeah, just ends up pushing him over, really. Like, it was soft in some regards, but at the same time, you just can't do what Duan did. So now Duan gets to have a bit of a rest. Did you like the UFC fight today? I didn't get to watch the UFC fight. Unfortunately, I was busy during it, but by the sounds of it, Dracus went all right once again. Now, I guess who does he fight? Probably Hamza, if he wants that one, and if Hamza can make weight. Now looking for the rolling maul here for the Irish. Looks like they're not too far out from the line. A lot of players very close to that white line this time, and they're held up. Great Scottish defence, but it had to be, or else they would have been down by 2 tries. Dracus the GOAT, says Bo Kang. I will be honest, I think there was more hype for if Strickland was going to fight Hamza, but I feel like Dracus Hamza would still be a good fight. And at the same time, I feel like everyone wanted to kind of see Adesanya Dracus in South Africa. So I don't know whether or not, because like Hamza, he's not allowed in America, so he might fight him in South Africa, maybe. And Rekka says it's Hamza. Yeah. Yeah, it's just whether, I think it would do all right in terms of pay-per-view buys. Right, Jack Conan coming onto the field. Ryan Beard comes off. That's for a head injury assessment. So the guy who came on as the head injury assessment replacement has now gone off for a head injury assessment. So they're currently making a chain at the moment of blokes with sore heads, which is not good. You reckon bookies will make Drekas underdog? There's a chance because of the aura. So that a good bet, moneyline wise, although we don't advise gambling here, says here. I think Drekas will still be champion, or not champion, sorry, but favourite. And it will probably be about $1.80 to $2. There'll be a lot of money to be made if you pick the right guy there. But now going off to the right-hand side, nicely claimed by Robbie Henshaw. Ireland once again have got the attack in play. Only one try. They'll be chasing the 4. And like I said, whoever wins this game, they are the only side who have the potential of getting a grand slam. Going to go backwards. Ben White trying to go through the middle with a breakdown. Doesn't get the ball back now. Inside ball. Ireland have got to have 80% possession at this point, it feels like. I think the real stat's about 65, but now going out wide. Big tackle on Calvin Nash. Myers off the number. Darcy Graham, and they get the penalty, Scotland. And Liverpool starting slowly against Plymouth. BBC guys say that should have been a penalty try, says Dennis. So the reasoning why it wasn't was because of the fact that the ball went dead. If the ball had stayed in play and if a Scottish player had managed to put it down, then there's that argument. But yeah, I think that the logic of it being dead and that's why it's not a penalty try, like if he didn't get tackled, he would have had about 3 cracks at grabbing that ball, I would say. But I guess you've got that unpredictability behind it as well. DDP changing his fighting style for almost every big fight. He has become so unpredictable, says one Pierre Bosch. And we have got there from Sebastian. Where'd that go? Has there been a UFC event in South Africa so far? I don't believe so. And Hamza will fight in Saudi Arabia. Well, that's about the only place that he's allowed to fight because he's not allowed to fight in the US at the moment. So that kills that option. But he can fight in a few other locations. So that's why I think maybe in South Africa, give Drakus the home field advantage, give Seaman a fight on that card as well. And I think there's one other South African fellow in the UFC at the moment. So stick him on the card. See how many kind of African fighters they can get for that event. Now going off to the left-hand side. Passing now to Blair Kinghorn, tries to step. He was very close to the touchline, but dragged down well by Hugo Keenan. Counter-ruck from Ireland, and they get possession back again. Now, 22 metres out from their own line, Ireland. With Josh Van and Flower, it's going to be taken back, which means James Lowe cannot kick this one out on the full, so instead just sinks the slipper straight down the middle of the park. Here comes Blair Kinghorn up to the halfway line, has the inside ball option. Goes to Darcy Graham. We're seeing not a lot of Hugh Jones as of yet, and he was the guy that I said would certainly be one to watch out for in this game for Scotland. Has a try-scoring ability. And here he goes. Got possession now. Passes on the outside to Kinghorn, who was shut down early from James Lowe, but still gets his offload to Graham. The hard yards, I think, is the best way of describing Scotland with ball in hand at the moment. Ireland making it hard and difficult for them. And kia ora, says Tar. Welcome in. Come on, Scotland, says Robert. That's going to be kicked high. Just outside of the 22. So Hugo Keenan unable to call for the mark and instead will kick it downfield. It's gone over the head of Finn Russell, but he eventually gets it. And now has the option of kicking for touch. And subscribe to the Kiwi Lads Entertainment channel. You never believe it. Get Kiwi Lads Plus Entertainment. And Saudi money will determine where the fight takes place, says Robert Wood. Probably. Like, they'll try and buy that fight for Dubai or wherever they'll end up with the possibility of going. But it's whether, like, Drakus will take a big payday. But at the same time, like, how many times is he going to get the chance to fight in South Africa for the UFC? And they've talked about going down there for a while, definitely since Drakus became champ. So, like, this might be his only chance to do so. That's not me saying he's going to lose to Hamza, by the way. That's just, you know, if every time he's going to have a big fight, they try and buy it for Saudi Arabia or one of the overseas options. I just don't know if he's ever going to get there. Now, Blair King on under a little bit of pressure from Sam Prendergast, who gets the charge down. Van den Flair almost got the bounce of the ball, but instead sits up for Scotland. And they're going back for a penalty. This is only 5 metres out from the line here. This is dangerous. Gibson Park doesn't look like he's going to... Oh, he did try and go quickly. He tries the cross kick. But they'll go back. 20 minutes in, Ireland will turn screws on Scotland, says Robert. Yeah, currently only a couple minutes remaining of that Duan van der Merwe yellow card. Welcome in, Tristan. Hope you're well. Says Sebastian. Hello, Kiwi lads from Tristan. Great. Thank you, Sebastian. And they played for Otago, says Drape. Yeah, just cleaned up at the back from Finn Russell. I'm not actually too sure what the penalty was for there, but they are going to take the quick tap. And Ireland only 5 metres out from the line, getting closer now with James Ryan. That looks like it might almost be held up. Yes, it is. 2 Scottish brilliant efforts in defence to stop 2 relatively great chances, or relatively good chances for Ireland, I should say. And it's going to be another goal line dropout. That time it was Jack Dempsey who managed to stop it. James Ryan just getting twisted up. That ball was in the air. The Ireland versus France match will have a big influence on the destination of the Six Nations trophy, says Steve V. Of course, that game, home field advantage will be a massive factor. Visits to the opposition 22. We have seen 6 from the Irish and 0 from Scotland. They haven't even been into the Irish 22 as of yet. That's going to be well taken by Hugo Keenan. So once again, territory going in the favour of the Irish. We sound like a bit of a broken record at the moment, but we haven't had much to say about the Scottish team. Great fend from James Lowe, and Gibson Park knocks it on. Now they'll go back for the original scrum. Don't add Romania and Georgia because you're scared, says Grey Lobster. I just don't think that's the case. I think it's the lack of, it sounds harsh, but the lack of revenue that those 2 sides would bring compared to these 6. And also just trying to fit it into a window. Right, there's 2 players down at the moment. Looks like it might be Darcy Graham as well as James Lowe. So normally when that happens, when 2 wingers stay down, it's because there's been a big shot somewhere. And, okay, so it's actually Scotland on Scotland there for Darcy Graham. And he might have been knocked out. He might need a head injury assessment as well. And Finn Russell, bit of friendly fire. I think he's knocked Darcy Graham clean out. Might have even been an elbow. We'd sell out here. And to Timmy Sora, I promise you, says Grey Lobster. That is true. They probably get a good home crowd. But, yeah, I think it's also, like I mentioned, that scheduling that makes it more difficult with the URC competitions. And also that would take away from the European competition. So, yeah, I just don't see World Rugby doing it. I think that if they ever were going to, it would be around that same time as New Zealand, South Africa, Australia, and Argentina end up adding sides if they do to the Rugby Championship. Finn Russell has never been fully conscious, says Mr. Marmite. And Ireland not as speedy as usual. Well, they've just had a couple simple errors at the moment. That handling, it's actually a little bit similar to what we saw between France and England. But France, they had a lot of dropped try opportunities. Is Finn Russell going off for an HIA? Did Finn Russell knock himself out, knocking someone else out? No, Jacket's going back on, by the looks of it. Right, time is going to be back on. Duan van der Merwe. Looks like he is only about a minute away from making his way onto the park again. Darcy Graham is still down, though. And he's on a stretcher by the looks of it. They're going to be taking him off, so his day is done. But yeah, it looked like a nasty elbow from Finn Russell. And Finn Russell's gone off for the HIA, so it must have been a bit of head as well. So currently there's 2 HIAs for Ireland, 2 HIAs for Scotland, like a comedy show, or a Scotland comedy show. Yeah, they've had a lot of errors at the moment, and unfortunately for them, they haven't even been inside of the Irish 22. But this doesn't look good for Darcy Graham, such a dangerous player when he gets a bit of space, chases with absolutely everything he's got. And yesterday's game was a true classic, says Steve V. If they put the Six Nations on pay-per-view, it will destroy the tournament. It's more than a tournament, it's a festival on and off the pitch. And we have got there more fun than Sky, says Grey Lobster. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated for your generosity. I believe, I don't want to get this wrong, just in case it is, but I believe that's the first of the weekend. Unless there was one on Wales versus Italy, which I don't think there was. So yeah, I think that might be the first of the weekend. So thank you very much, Grey Lobster. And we have there UFC and the Six Nations, and I, Hamish, and all other rugby freaks. And Ireland the Great, only in Six Nations, of course. Both sides, a lot of softies, says Val. Well, I think head injuries assessment, like, those normally you're getting whether you're soft or not. If you get hit in the head and your mouth guard registers that you've taken a big knock, you have to go off anyway. But 21 minutes into this contest, both sides are trying to keep trying to keep warm. It's 6 degrees Celsius in Murrayfield. Wouldn't be too hard to get cold. Two Scottish players laid out, says Brian. I'm only going to comment if Scotland leads starting now. Sky only started because Murdoch had already bought the earth, says Steve V. Yeah, Darcy Graham. I don't know if the song choice of Tipsy, well, I guess he's not really tipsy. He's more so, he's just a bit sore, I would think. Darcy Graham. Two Scottish players. And don't tell an Irishman to use his head, says Robert. And as a South African who's witnessed some of the greatest clashes between the Springboks and the ABs, yesterday clash between France and England was one for the books, says Roger. Yeah, it just had a whole heap of late changes, or in terms of how the match was going to play out. Every time you thought, okay, this side's going to win, the other team would score. And the fact that it was separated by 1 point with a little bit of tension when there were missed kicks as well, like, it was just a very good game. And Scotland need to stick with 14, although they're not too far away from getting back to the full 15 players available. France choked heavily yesterday. On paper, they should have beaten England. Even having the so-called greatest player in the world, they lose how? Handling, I think, is one of the best ways of describing it. We saw Belbari, yes, he scored, but he dropped one that should have been a try. We saw the Damien Pinot try, but he had one that he dropped that should have been a try. Even Dupont had a drop out wide. So, like, I don't think the loss completely was down to the fact that Dupont wasn't firing, because he had overall a pretty solid game. But, yeah, it's one of those ones that, unfortunately, in wet conditions, you cannot afford to drop the ball as much as France did. And love it, France losing yesterday, had a bit of spice in the Six Nations, says Sakabula. I wish you have a South African English accent, says Bokang. I think that's the first time my accent's been described in that way. But thanks. I think that's a compliment, maybe. I thought you were Irish. Guess because I know an Irishman called JD. Where are you from, mate? If you don't mind me asking, says Sebastian. Right, this one looks like it's going to take a little while to get Darcy Graham off the field. 21 minutes in. At the moment, I should mention anyone who's new to the channel, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. The scoreboard's just gone up to 28, but that is not the case. We are a little bit earlier than that. Why aren't you in your tie and jacket today, Hamish, says Victor? It's quite late at night. We're currently 4:30 a.m., so I thought I'd just wear the casual attire for today. Plus, like, I've only recently finished wearing it for a wedding, so I thought I'd go without it for this one. And olden days, guys, I didn't have gum shields. You went to the dentist Monday morning, says Val. And also we have got there, they barely made any mistakes in the first game. Yet they were paramount on Twickenham. Did the pressure become too much for them? Says Connor Cahill. I think the conditions were different in some regards. Like, France on another given day probably would have scored 21 more points. And I know that sounds like I'm trying to discredit England's win. England played a really strong game of rugby. Their rush defence did rattle the French a little bit. Looks like Graham is now making his way off. The round of applause from the Murrayfield crowd. Who wins, DDP or Hamza? It's a tricky one because they can both rely on their wrestling when they need it, and they both have knockout power. So, like, yeah, it's interesting. Like, what Hamza keeps doing when he fights. Like, that last fight that he had, was it up against Whitaker the last time Hamza fought? like in that fight, I thought that Whitaker had half a chance, and Hamzat just mauled him. So I think it would be a very intriguing head-to-head. I don't know how the trash talk would go. I feel like Drakus might try and stir him up a little bit, but Hamzat, he gets angry pretty easily, so that'll be interesting. Right, Ireland in possession, and they've got the penalty advantage already. We've only been back in play for about 5 seconds. And now it's going to be going to the right-hand side. Jameson Gibson Park. Goes out to Calvin Nash. Scotland's still... Oh, no, I'm back for the penalty. Only 3 degrees Celsius in Istanbul. Coldest it's been for a while, says Brian. And also we have got there 0 means none, says Mr. Marmite. I'm going to the Scotland or Ireland pubs. I say hi if you see me, says Grey Lobster. Right, the shot has been called. 18 minutes remaining in this first half, so Ireland, this would give them a 10-point lead. I went to a pub quiz the other week. I'll say it was rough. The first question was, what are you looking at? Says Steve. So what was the answer for that one? That's by mate betting on Ireland, Italy, and England from the capital, Act Canberra. And he's down a long time. That's a bit worrying. Yeah, I think there's also, like, they're taking all the precautions, making sure that he doesn't end up, twisting that neck or anything, because he did get knocked out badly, unfortunately, and you kind of saw the way that he folded. He went forward rather than back straight away. So I'd say that, spinal situations, you don't want to play around with them, so they wanted to make sure that he was going to be all right. But now Sam Prendergast to line up the 3, and it's just snuck over, making the score 10-0 now in favour of the away side. To win the Scots, we'll have to smoke something half-time. Are you off to work after this, says Arthur? I don't think straight away, probably around lunchtime, I'd say. Or maybe a bit earlier, maybe 10 or 11. So I get a quick little 2 or 3 hour nap beforehand, which is quite nice. Now 23 minutes in, Blair Kinghorn. Now going to be going for the kickoff. Nice and high, nicely claimed by Hugo Keenan. Mike Tyson, I broke my back spinal, says here. And a question, says Martin Murray. What is said question, Martin? Oh, is that for the quiz, actually? That's probably a good answer. Although, if it was just a random bloke trying to start something with him, he would have been very confused. Geez, that 2 bad injuries for Scotland. And it was friendly fire, says Sucker Bully. Yeah, not just to lose a winger in this case, but also losing, fly half. And Finn Russell, who got taken off on the buggy. It was Darcy Graham to get carted off. Now Scotland in possession on the halfway line. They just need a little bit of possession. They've kicked the ball away a couple times with Ben White, and I feel like now's the time to just start running it. Try and get some sort of momentum in your favour. Ireland, I don't know how many... Oh, they've just knocked it on in about the 3rd phase. Are you Scottish, Hamish? Way down, back in the day, I think somewhere in there's, a Scottish man at some point. But not, in the, recent history of the fam. Unfortunately, so far, this doesn't look like Scotland can find their groove in the game yet. Oh, he's hit his head on the ground there for Blair Kinghorn. The crowd aren't happy about it, but James Dolman says that it was a fair contest. Now, Blair... In fact, no, sorry, this time... Oh, is that Blair Kinghorn? Yeah, might have been. He's just gone with the kick that's gone pretty much straight up in the air, and the penalty goes the way of Scotland. Right, a little bit of obstruction there from Bundy Key. Probably 2,000 calories, says Robert. And also Scotland are going to need a lot of heart to get back into this one, says Boyten. Yeah, I think that for Scotland at the moment, they'll have to have that realisation of this has not gone well. So if they can go into halftime 10-0 down or, get a little bit closer, score some form of points, whether it's 3 or 7, I honestly think that they wouldn't mind that too much. One of the DNA tests would be interesting. Hamish, see what percentage of Scottish and Maori you get. I don't think I've got any Maori in me that I know of. I think I'm New Zealand European. My sister's done one, so I should probably just ask her because we'd be pretty similar, seeing as she's my sister. But now off to the right-hand side. Little Pass to, I think that's going to be Blair. I tell you what, he's popping up everywhere, Blair Kinghorn. But I think that's because he's also probably playing the fly half role now. Although they might actually, no, they might go Tom Jordan in terms of who would take on that 10 role here. Ben White, oh, it's going to be a loose ball. Ireland almost ending up with it, but Ben White goes across to Xander Fagerson. Can they visit the opponent's 22? No, Peter O'Mahony gets the clean steal for the Irish. A lack of ball security for Scotland, and this has to be frustrating for not just the team, but also those in attendance. We're hoping to see Scotland find their way back into this contest. Hey man, says Charles, welcome in, mate. Hamish has assisted, that is true, Mr. Marmite. And the chat is running 5 minutes late, says Brian, all loose ball. And Scotland now have the line out on the 22. They're their own, so they still haven't visited the opponent's 22 at this point. Born in Scotland, brought up in Northern Ireland, says Rent a Ghost. And we have got their best case scenario for Scotland now as a try before the break and a bollocking in the changing room. This is in Murrayfield, but Ireland look like the big bad bully home team. Yeah, like we've really seen, like there isn't a huge amount to say about Scotland's play throughout this game as of yet. They've made some good defensive tackles, holding up Ireland twice, but based on their attack, we just haven't seen much to actually fully comment on. It's just getting shut down, and then Ireland getting in each breakdown, and within about 2 or 3, they managed to take it back. Hello, Hamish, tuned in now. Will you do live New Zealand versus South Africa cricket? It's in 5:30 p.m. Is that 5:30 p.m. New Zealand time, Charles? I'll probably end up watching it, to be fair. That should be a good match. I didn't actually get to watch the first one between New Zealand and Pakistan. Are you a Cantabrian bro? I was born in Christchurch. I wouldn't say like I'm a like diehard, like, because normally people say, oh, you're from Canterbury, you must like the Crusaders. But like I'm pretty impartial in that. But yeah, I was born in Canterbury. So yes, but also rugby related, no. If that makes sense. How long can this defence last? With the exception of one try, which also in some regards was a defensive blunder, but no one even was close to the man who did score it. Like, they've gone all right. It's just they can't get out of their own half at the moment. In fact, they're struggling to get out of the 22. Once again, Ireland are going to have to line out about 15 metres from the line. A long hike burns are about 1,400 to 2,000 is just a guess. I could be very wrong. What are we talking about for hikes? Oh, Finn Russell, he's got the jacket on. He's got the drink bottle. Is he returning? I can't tell. He kind of looked a little bit 50-50. Will you do commentary or just watch it between New Zealand and South Africa? Probably just watch it, to be fair. So it was the start at 5:30. So it'll be finished at about maybe 1 o'clock, somewhere around there. But I probably should rest up a little bit. Porter can play 7 Hamish, team up with McNulty. Yeah, he's very good at getting in those breakdowns quickly for a prop as well. I mean, we've seen some great prop work throughout this round. I did a 70-minute program routine on the running machine yesterday that burned 605 calories. Who started the calorie conversation? I didn't actually see what actually started it. On average, how many calories does a rugby player burn in the full 80 minutes? Mild weather conditions? Yeah, it's probably a fair few because they cover a lot of kilometres. We have a young lad, Rachin Ravindra, injured, so it will not be an easy win. Yeah, that was a bit of a brutal blow to the head, wasn't it? And Scotland need the whole fish, not a fin, says Drape. And Russell has gone back down the tunnel, as Southkit has said, so he will not be returning in this matchup. A big hit for the Scottish side. But then at the same time, it is a little switch what they may need to find their rhythm because just something hasn't been clicking as of yet. A couple forced changes for them, though. Not exactly what you want. Here comes Bundy Aki, the Irish centre, in the middle of the field, 10 metres out from the line. Caelan Doris goes in behind, looking for the back line. It's going to be loose. Kicked forward there. No, they'll go back for a knock-on again. It was lost forward in the tackle. Sorry, I am eating thoroughly, enjoying the chat, says Tristan. Hopefully you are thoroughly enjoying your food as well. As Russell injured, so he did take a head knock. He actually took a head knock, knocking one of his teammates out. believe it or not. So, yeah, it was just in the process of making the tackle there, Hugh Jones. It won't be a deliberate knock-on. Thinking of doing a DNA test as well. I can guarantee you the result will be Europe's biggest orgy. Maybe. Old man Omani still has it, says Brian. Now, 30 minutes in. 10-0 for Ireland. And there's just been a lack of... Like, it sounds harsh in some regards, but there's just been a lack of anything for Scotland. Defensively, they have stopped the opposition from getting a bigger lead, but they need a try of their own. That's going to be the big one. If they can score before half-time and stop Ireland from scoring again, it would be massive for them. But Ireland, once again, have got themselves the scrum. Great stream, buddy. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much, Nathan. Hugely appreciate it. And anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're back for the rest of the rounds of the Six Nations, as well as the URC next week. We've got Super Rugby starting up too. Are the HIA players back on? I don't believe so for either of these sides. I don't think we've seen the head injury assessments returning. Now going back across, Doris, has he got it? He's got it. No. Wait, does he? Is that a penalty or is Dolman awarding? No, it is the try awarded. I wasn't sure for a second, but Caelan Doris bulldozes his way over. I actually thought that he was going to be able to get over. I noticed that you wear a uniform tie in New Zealand games. Not necessarily just New Zealand games. A lot of the times when we're doing an All Blacks game or a Springboks game, there are other games that are taking place on that same day. So like for the November internationals, we had Ireland games that we had to suit on. We had England games, France games. But Gibson Park, just a good flat ball going across to Doris, who bulldozes his way over the try line. I thought Gilchrist did enough for a start, but then the referee says, no, there's some ball on the turf. Now a kick to come. The best read game I saw was the 2015 World Cup game between Scotland and the Wallabies. Man, I missed those when Scotland played like that. Sort of like England last night, says here. It's a good kick again from Sam Prendergast. 32 minutes in, and it is 17-0 in favour of Ireland. Now it is pretty much confirmed that Scotland need a try here in this first half, or else they will be in some big trouble going into the second 40. And they've only got 8 minutes to do it. They still haven't visited the opposition 22, which, like, of course, like, it happens sometimes that you can't quite get on the front foot, but I don't think we've seen a side in recent memory that have stopped Scotland from at least even getting into their 22 throughout a full half of rugby. Of course, in the World Cup, there were a couple of games where Scotland couldn't quite find their momentum, but they still managed to get in there. I'll tell you what, Sam Prendergast kicked out on the full. This is Scotland's chance. Wait, yeah, it was taken back. They're now in the 22 as long as they win this line out. That's all they've got to do. I jinxed that one big time, but I'm sure Scottish supporters will be happy with that jinx. And Scotland just don't have the fallback to beat Ireland. And very one-sided game so far. Was hoping for a bit more of an even contest, says Rugby Itch. Yeah, I think a lot of people were. I thought it was going to be closer, but like we just need to see Scotland find their rhythm, and they have done anything but that. But that's also down to the pressure that we've seen Ireland put them under, right? They're back outside of the 22 by the time that ball got slapped back. So I don't think that technically counts as a Scottish visit to the 22 just yet. And when was the last time Scotland played New Zealand? Do you remember the score? No idea, to be honest. It's been quite a while since we've seen that match take place. Now Ben White going off to the left-hand side, looking for the flat run for Matt Fagerson. Now White again goes back across. And big up Rugby Itch. And said it before, I'll say it again. Townsend cannot take this team to the next level. A best team in years, and he's wasting them. Oh, and they've gone back about 30 metres now. Doohan van der Merwe breaks through one. Ooh, that looked a little bit high from Robbie Henshaw. Now Aki and off his feet in the breakdown. And tell you what, they've probably... advantage to Scotland. I was about to say Ireland might have gotten away with that one a little bit. But Scotland have got the penalty in their favour. Oh, that's playing the ball on the ground. So they will go back for it. I wonder how the Welsh will get on with Ireland. Rugby math doesn't work in a straightforward fashion. But man, if they lost to Italy like that and Scotland looked comfortable last week. And hey, I hope everyone is doing well, says Rugby Itch in there as well. I'm sure we will end up seeing Rugby Itch on the channel at some point before the end of the Six Nations. I should mention. Also, anyone who does follow Super Rugby, be sure to check out the video we did. We did the players to watch over on his channel. Right, Bundyaki, he has been penalised for that breakdown that I mentioned about, which is, I would say, fair enough. But distance to the try line, I think that's 11.5. So now if they win this one, they will be inside of the opposition 22. So Scotland missed Tui Piloto in the centres. No go forward ball. Yeah, they've struggled a little bit. And I do think they have lacked, like you said, that crash ball specialist. Get in the meters. And also Tui Piloto, we can't underestimate how much that man does in the breakdown. Getting 1 or 2 steals normally in a contest, if not more. Right, Scotland, they've lost the ball. So once again, I don't think that counts as a proper 22 visit for the Scottish, as they only got there with a kick and then the line out was unsuccessful. Now 50 metres out from the line here. Scotland with Duan van der Merwe. He has to find a little bit of that X factor. Get Scotland moving in the right direction. Now past him behind Tom Jordan. A lot of pressure on him. Kinghorn joins the line. Another great low tackle made. Ireland looking for the counter-ruck straight off the feet. Now 45 out. Ben White. Back across to the left here. It's just, there has to be a try if they want any chance of winning. And again, Duan disappeared. That's why he's not a Springbok. See Sakabula. Now, nice pass again. 40 metres out from the line. A little bit of crawling going forward for Rory Sutherland. A name that we haven't actually said throughout this whole match, mainly because we haven't seen any running from those big forwards, with the exception of Xander Ferguson, a couple. Right. Scotland have won the penalty here. Oh, bit of push and shove. The last thing that they want is to get it reversed. Right, Tyke Burns stayed down here. It was from a push, but I think his leg got stuck. Right, Caelan Doris is asking for a penalty in Tyke Burns' favour, who did get pushed over by Scotland, but James Dolman says, oh, still a little bit of talk going on between these two teams, and Burns slow to get back to his feet. Now Goody Rabic is tuned in, says Bruce. And look, I know it's the first half and the game isn't over, but this is such a pivotal day for the Scots, and so far they have not shown up. Tell me, Hamish, how was your cousin's wedding? I hope the weather was hot. It was a nightmare with my niece's wedding. Yeah, it was a nice day in terms of weather-wise. Right, kicking forward the touchline here, Scotland. If they retain this line out, it's got to be the first official visit to the 22. And they just haven't been able to retain that ball enough. But yeah, try here would change this game. Maybe not hugely, but it would change it enough. Give Scotland just that bit of confidence. Dave Cherry. Ready to throw this ball in. And it goes to the back. Scotland retain. Visit to the opposition 22 ticked off in the 37th minute of the contest. And now the rolling maul. This is looking very good for Scotland, making a couple metres. Just have to keep on pushing. Ireland, about 3 of their players need to get out of there by the looks of it. They've been told to use it once. Is this one going to come out? They are still moving. And it's dragged down by Ireland, which means it's going to be the scrum. And that has almost silenced the Scottish supporters. They just couldn't get it out of there. Finally, they've woken up. You might have spoken too soon. They need to try before half-time to keep the contest open. Do you watch football? Not a huge amount, to be honest. Like, I haven't watched that many games recently. And we have got there, it's disheartening, Buddy Brave. Proud Scotsman used to be very competent. Come on, Scotland, says Sakabula. Currently only a minute and a half remaining in this first 40 minutes, and it is definitely a half that Scotland will want to forget. They have been far from perfect. They've had errors riddled throughout their side. Ball security's been down. There's not a lot good to say about this first 40 for Scotland, other than some, at times, decent goal line defence. But Ireland has still scored twice, giving them the 17-0 lead. Now scrum feed here, 10 metres out from their own line for the Irish, so I would assume if they can be strategic, they've only got a minute left on the clock, a scrum reset, Then a boot into touch could take them into halftime if they can stall it. Or instead, Scotland might get one last line-out chance. Yep, there we go. It's going to be a reset. Referee stands them back up. Quick reset, please, says James Dolman, but now only 40 seconds remaining. Oh, Andrew Porter just taking his time, joining up with Ronan Kelleher. Right, 30 seconds left now. I think Ireland, they will be... Yeah, there we go. This is great time management from Ireland. It'll be frustrating for Scotland, though, because they would get the last chance here. Now only 15 seconds remaining. Gibson Park puts it in. I think Doris will be just hanging on to this one. In fact, he will run it forward. It's going to be hit hard, though, by this the Scottish defence. A little bit of a counter-ruck coming. Can they get the penalty just before the end of the half? Yes, they can. Penalty goes the way of Scotland for Ireland sealing off. Now Dave Cherry. Is this the chance that they need to score late? Ben White, ball in hand, trying to shift this one. Now in the middle of the park, just next to the post. 5 metres between Scotland and a try in what has been a lacklustre half. Offload on the outside. Duan van der Merwe went for the finish, and I believe he scored it right at the end. That'll be disappointing for Ireland. So now they will also get yelled at when they go into the changing sheds. Need the try, says here, and they have managed to do so, although they will just check the grounding to make sure that it is all right. But Duan van der Merwe with a Superman-like dive into the corner. It's 31st for the Scottish. Gerard Butler fired up for that one. But now we get to see the replay to make sure that it was a legal try. I think it was. We're going to see the feet here. That's the main concern. He jumps up. Yep, perfect try from Duan van der Merwe. Sensational finish. And now Kinghorn with the kick near the sideline. And it's missed, but it's still the 5 points. That's all that we need to look at this point for the Scottish. They're 12 points down, 2 converted tries, and they'll be back in it, but they need a much better second half. And go Duan, says Nadine. Brilliant work on the inside, though, to lure in 2 defenders from McDowell and then get that offload away. And great bit of impetus, says Tristan, and excellent, says Robert. Out of the 3 tries so far, which one was the best? They've been all very different, if I'm honest. Like, this try, best finish, you'd have to argue. Caelan Doris's was just a classic Jameson Gibson Park bullet pass to his chest and then managed to wriggle his way over. And then the other was a wide cutout pass from Prendergast, and there was just no one in front to defend. So, like, in terms of setup-wise, it's very tricky. Like I said, they're very different. But I would say that ball from Gibson Park to Doris was a pretty nice one. But then at the same time, like, it took Doris a little while to wiggle his way over. So then that kind of takes the momentum away. But then, like, that was a great finish from Duan. So, yeah, honestly, it's very hard to tell. And I'm too indecisive to decide. Mr. Conversion, same kicking coach as Lebock. Says, Bruce, to be fair, it was right out by the sideline. Well, it's going to be very tough. Which 4 centres would you go with for the British and Irish Lions tour? So you only allow 4. That seems too little, doesn't it? Like, you got Bundyaki. He'll be there. I'm trying to think, like, who Andy Farrell will go with. He'll probably have Robbie Henshaw there too, I would think. Tui Pilotu, if he isn't injured, I think would be an option. And I think Ollie Lawrence, honestly, would be pretty strong in Australian conditions. So that's probably my 4 almost, if those guys are all available. But then I feel like Hugh Jones, when he's good, he can be great. When Ringrose is good, maybe he could be an option that they go with as well. But it's just, it depends on the game plan as well for Andy Farrell. And we've got to remember, if he's also coaching Ireland, he's going to want a few more Irish players get in some minutes there. Ringrose definitely instead of Henshaw. Yeah, I feel like that's probably a better shout. 17 points to 5. At the moment, standout players in the first half. I think that, Gibson Park was solid once again for the Irish, as he normally is. Didn't see a huge amount of Bundyaki. And then also, the Irish forward pack in general needs a little bit of a pat on the back because we ended up seeing quite a few turnovers in those breakdowns. Ruck speed at the moment is pretty similar by the looks of it. Ireland just having that slight advantage. Tackles missed only 6 and they've made 80. So, that's a telling stat. To be fair to Scotland, though, they've got a pretty decent first half statistic as well in terms of tackling. And Daj has had 13 tackles. So he has been the most busy out of any of the Scottish players. I hope Marcus Smith gets the Lions call up. Oh, Sebastian, you're playing him at 10 or 15? Because I would assume that they will go... Well, would they go with Russell as a fly half? You'd assume so, but once again, it depends on Andy Farrell. Because as much as you want to look at it from a neutral point of view, I would still think there will be a little bit of bias there in favour of that Irish team. So, Smith for utility, being able to play 10 and 15 would be quite handy. Someone like a Kinghorn could also offer that role, depending on where he's kind of looking for a guy from. And fly half, I'm still not convinced as Marcus as fullback. We'll go with Aki, Tuipulotu, Lawrence, and Ringrose. Hugh Jones is next in line so far in terms of form. Says Rugby Itch. And also their low will be there, says Sakabula. And territory stat at the moment, territory-wise, I got position here. Where's territory? Is it going to give me one? I think I might have to go on the Six Nations website one moment. Six Nations, there we go. I would assume that territory, though, has to be 65% at a guess. But, of course, I might be completely wrong. Right, stats. Meters gained is actually very similar, believe it or not. Which I don't believe. Live win probability is 92% in favour of the Irish, 56% for Ireland in terms of territory, but Scotland only visited the opposition 22, I think, once or twice. And your Tim should definitely do a Lion squad prediction video. See, Sebastian, when is it actually announced? The squad, that is. I think it's after the Six Nations, isn't it? Or maybe a month or two down the line. Discipline, we hardly saw Ireland giving away any penalties throughout the early stages, but penalty count relatively even. 5 against Ireland, 6 against Scotland, including a yellow card for Duan van der Merwe. And then in terms of the attacking stats, we've seen, that's an interesting one. Attacking minutes. Scotland have apparently had 11.2 attacking minutes compared to Ireland's 7.2. Now, of course, Ireland do love to get rid of that ball or go for those plays quickly, so maybe that's why. But Scotland, I wouldn't have thought that they had 11.2 minutes with ball in hand throughout that first half, unless a lot of that was from inside of their own 22. I was on the chat review last weekend, Six Nations. He told his father was Zimbabwean, his mother American, and born in Hong Kong. What an interesting life he's having. Says Mornay. And territory stats are BS. Yeah, the feel of the game definitely is closer, I feel, to that 65-70% in favour of Ireland. That was a very nice try. Ireland are probably favourites in the second half, particularly after the bench comes on. Dan Sheehan always scores a try. A squad announcement will be made late April. And late April is when the squad will be announced. Well, we bet you to it, Tim. Managed to sneak in there. And we have got there, low will be there. Says Sakabula, metres gained at the moment, 159 for Ireland compared to 145 for the Scottish. Line breaks 4-1 in favour of Ireland and 7-6 in favour of defenders beaten. And beat me to the punch. And Marcus Smith measures himself with Richie Mo'unga and thought. Then along came Damien McKenzie, Marcus Smith. That's it, D-Mac 10 and 15, says JD. Handling errors is actually 7-7 as well. I'm used to arriving first, says Sebastian. Used to arriving first. I feel like I don't know whether that's a reference to a certain something that Grant would be proud of or whether it's a reference in something else. They have a Six Nations store. How much are they charging for like a basic bit of kit nowadays? We'll have a look at the jerseys during this halftime break. Oh, the English kits are on special. Tell you what, top sellers, but they are currently about 40% off, I think, the English kits. So anyone who wants an English kit for yourself, while they are successful, of course, so anyone who wants to jump on that bandwagon, get yourself a £70.20. That seems like an expensive jersey, though. How much is that? Pound to NZ dollar. Wow. So on special, it's 153 New Zealand dollars. When it's not on special, it's 256 New Zealand dollars. Maybe that's not the best kit to be getting. Why is that so expensive compared to... Wait, the home replica... Oh, that's the pro jersey. Okay, so the regular one is £48. You can't pay me to wear the English kit. Grant would be proud, says Sebastian in there as well. So it's only England that's on special this week, by the looks of it. All the other nations have to wait for a bit longer. They actually have the All Blacks kit on sale on... Oh no, there's a Scottish alternative strip and whatnot. It's on special. There you go. Rugby Hitch is more unusual, or the most unusual accent in the world. My friend from British Zimbabwe sounds exactly the same. Says Albert. Rugby Hitch I describe as nice and polite. How do you describe Rugby Hitch? Tim is normally how I'd describe him, but nah, he's a nice bloke, old Tim. We've done a lot of collaborations with him. I feel like we've got to be up to about 100 videos between us, like that we've had each other in at the moment, which is a very large number, to be fair. That's it, Tristan, says Sebastian, and wouldn't fit anyway, says Robert in there as well. But second half, not a mile away from starting, ladies and gents. So anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. The concerning point of that first half with Darcy Graham getting injured, they've just shown the replay though, and he did give a thumbs up. So that is great to see, but I don't think he'll be playing next week. He's even clapping. Maybe don't do that, Darcy. Maybe just rest for now. But yeah, it'll be an interesting second 40. The Scottish are not completely out, but it's going to be tricky for them in this match to be able to come back into it. They are just showing the replays of the tries, or at least the attacking chances that the Irish have had. Have you ever spoken to 2 Cents Rugby, or to you two are my favourite Kiwi YouTubers? Yeah, we've actually had them on for a post-match review. We haven't done a video with them as of yet, but yeah, we ended up doing a bit of a review of memes that were made about us, as well as just having a bit of a chat rugby related. Tony was also there, Distracted Sports, as some of you will know. But yeah, like, we're just going to find the right video, I think, because we could just do a random one, and I think he would be keen, but I feel like we want to find one that's, like, relevant, if that makes sense. Tui Pelota's still injured, says JD, yeah, but he is on the sideline, like, in terms of in the stands, so, you know, hopefully not a mile off. I'll get a British and Irish Lions shirt, why not? Celebrate the occasion, only once every 4 years in it. That is true. Like, if you divide the cost of the British and Irish Lions kit by 4, for the equivalent of every year that you have to wait, it's a little bit cheaper. If Scotland could borrow the French forward pack, they could beat Ireland, says Albert. And different flaw me. Grandmother was Scots, grandfather was Irish. Antonia's way too distracted for my taste, says Albert. You can see where he got the name though, can't you? If Scotland score first, they will win, says Robert. Oh, so you're saying a Scottish comeback if they can get first try second half. To be fair, if they score first and they convert, they're up to 12, which honestly doesn't put them a mile away. But Ireland, I think, is the big concern at the moment, whether or not they're going to be able to just ramp it up to that next level, because if Scotland crumble under that pressure, then, you know, Ireland should get the bonus point. And you thought I'm a Pimpy's 3-match ban? Like, it probably is justified. Like, at the end of the day, you can't go around sticking your finger in guys' eyes. Like, they don't normally like that much. probably a kink for some people, not for myself anyway. That would hurt quite a bit. But yeah, it's one of those ones. It's probably the right decision. They've got to be slightly strict on it, or else then people will feel like they can get away with it. Tony is awesome, says Bill. Even though I don't know my accent, it's just very international, says Rugby Itch, and every 12 years between the Wallaby Springboks and the ABs, says JD. Yeah, that's true, but I guess just in general, when the British and Irish Lions are in, got that 4-year wait. We have got the Ireland to win by at least 20 plus points, says Barry Power. Just having a look through at the moment in terms of the reserves for these two teams. For Scotland, they've already made a couple of their changes, and that is due to head knocks that we've seen. I believe that Stafford McDowell, he is already out there on the park, and then also they have made that other change of Jamie Dobie. But for the Irish, they have got some great players still to come. Dan Sheehan, huge experience for Cian Healy, his teammate at 17. Ringrose, Crowley, Murray, Conan, Bett. Honestly, like, even though they've made a couple changes due to head knocks, like, they've still got a really strong bench. And I feel like that could be the difference maker later on in the match. This is the table, and the way that it currently sits is both sides get ready to make their way out of the changing sheds. France are at the top of the bunch, but they will not be for long. Whoever wins this game will go to number 1. And the loser might even go to number 2. Oh, no, they won't. Never mind. I was just doing the maths there, and the math wasn't mathing. Unless they lose and they've got 2 points. That's the only way that they will elevate themselves up, is if they can get the 2 losing bonus points rather than just the 1. Are you an Aucklander? I am not, no. From the South Island, Mapimpi should know better. He isn't a junior player, says Sakabula. Mapimpi just needed time off to go shopping. And Scotland will crumble in the fourth quarter. Ireland will be relentless after until the few final minutes. Yeah, like once Sheehan comes on, I feel like the intensity is going to go up again. And there is 2 or 3 tries left in the Irish team, says David. Yeah, be a minimum. Like, if they don't get the bonus point here, I know that it sounds harsh, and it probably does also sound harsh against Scotland, but if Ireland don't get a bonus point from this game after the start that they've had, I think that would leave a lot of Irish supporters disappointed. They feel like this is the game that they could actually really get a sneaky points differential increase over a few of the other teams. Super Bowl game day. Honestly, I never remember when the Super Bowl is, and I don't even know who's playing in it this year, and I don't even know what time it starts, but I might consider watching it later. I just don't know what's going on with it. But, like, it's just my lack of NFL knowledge, really. Right, Scotland to kick off. Can they get back into this contest, or will it be Ireland can get themselves a big victory at Murrayfield? Nicely claimed by the Irish inside of their 22. And strong game between 2 strong sides so far. Says Finn, one side has been a lot stronger, to be fair. Scotland have struggled to be able to find their rhythm. That one's going to be taken back, I believe, by the Irish. No, it's not, sorry. It's going to instead be the line out. Got to shovel snow. I'm getting ready for the game. And they throw the ball forward. For F's sake, it's heresy, I should say. And we have got there about 6 hours till the Super Bowl. Oh, okay, so it's like, it's the morning/afternoon thing for us here in New Zealand. It's a big day. Definitely if you ended up watching New Zealand versus South Africa in the cricket as well. Now going back across to the left-hand side. Ben White. Little short ball. Nice attack and run forward from Rory Darge. Now Scotland. This is already looking better than it was in the first half for them. Move up to only about 25 metres. Out here comes Matt Fagerson, just slipping. Ball available now for Scotland. Going to be picked up and passed across to Gray. Now to the right-hand side again. This is a much better 90 seconds compared to the last time. That's going to be now about 15 metres out from the line. But Ireland trying to get their turnover, and they've given away the advantage. Dan Sheehan actually already making his way onto the field, I should mention, for Ronan Kelleher. Right, going back to the left-hand side. Scotland, skip past the Duan Fundermover, who tried to double-hand punch it back in field. And now not rolling away, penalty goes against the Irish. And one thing about the Super Bowl is that whoever wins will be the world champions. So here's J Mac. And some of us in the USA call it the stupid bowl, and instead watch Puppy Bowl with lots of doggies running around a small indoor pitch. Pups are available for adoption. That's actually a really nice thing that they have. I feel like I'm going to search for the Puppy Bowl after this. Looks like the halftime talk worked. Well, it had to. They had to find that next gear, and already they've started a lot better. Now, Dan Sheehan, actually the man who gave away that penalty for not rolling away, although it was his teammate who was trying to get into the breakdown. Now, Kinghorn to add 3 points for Scotland, and it's converted. Now, I get it. 3 points, start of the half, ideal. But you're down by 12. That still means you have to score 2 more tries anyway. Another 3 isn't going to get you within 7. And you had Ireland just a little bit rattled. Not a huge amount, but just enough that maybe a kick for the corner and a rolling maul could have been the better option. But the problem for Scotland is last time they tried that, it didn't work. Attack and run from Jack Dempsey. The last thing that Scotland want now, though, is to end up giving away the ball in this part of the field. Xander Fagerson goes across to Andrew Porter. I must give a big thanks to the Six Nations organisers. No rugby next weekend, so good timing for my wife's birthday. I don't want to be watching rugby or I'll be in the bad books. So it's probably good that they've got the bye week. Of course, URC will be taking place, but I think you'd be willing to sacrifice that rather than sacrifice the marriage. A line out here for Dan Sheehan. They will be about 40 metres out from the Scottish line. Come on, Scotland, says Robert Wood. Right. Depending on what happens just in this play, depends on the decision of Scotland. Oh, they've managed to get the steal. They will now be in possession just outside of their 22. On to the right-hand side. It seems like they've come out with a little bit of early momentum. Patience is a virtue, says Robert Wood. I'll go on across to the left. Ed Sheeran, Scottish or Irish? I think he's English, isn't he? Ed Sheeran. Now kicked from Ben White downfield. Nicely claimed by Hugo Keenan under the high ball. Could be another upset. Tell you what, it would certainly be a big one with how far they are down at the moment. The line doesn't even have Scotland being within 12 points. So that tells you how much credit they're giving the Scots. But currently a big shot coming in about 25 metres out from their line. Gibson Park. Back across to the left-hand side. James Ryan hits it up. Come on, Ireland. Make this one count big time. Right, Gibson Park has been told to use it once more. And Scotland do it again, says Robert Wood. High. Waiting for this one to come down. Nicely taken by Blair Kinghorn right next to the touchline. And James Lowe, he slapped that one down accidentally. But 9, you're throwing it to no one was the call there. I think Scotland were trying to milk the penalty. Doesn't end up working for them. Now 45 and a half minutes in. 2 tries for Ireland. They still need 2 more to get that bonus point. Whereas for the Scottish, they are sitting 3 tries away from their chance at that. And bonus points as we head through the competition could be very crucial. Currently France, they are sitting with 2 bonus points. England, I believe they have also got the 2. I feel Scottish Haggis is coming or going to come back. 40 minutes to do it, says Ruth. This is exactly what Scotland need. Keep the ball out of the hands of the Irish, says here. Right, James Dolman. Being very strict at scrum time, which is what you need, really. You don't want too much happening in terms of free kicks and standing up. Although we still had a little bit of that. Tim told me he never met you in person yet. Do you want to meet Tim in person one day? It would be a big trip for one of us. But it sounds like he's more likely to be in New Zealand than I am to be in the UK. So when he is here, if he ends up going to New Zealand, we have to do something, I'd say. Play him at table tennis or something. That's what people do, isn't it? Now, nice run from Blair Kinghorn. Selling the dummy. Scotland on the counter-attack. They're only 10 metres out from the line. This is a brilliant start to the second 40. Oh, and then they dropped it. No, but Ireland gave away the advantage first. So the penalty will go the way of Scotland, but great break in line from Blair Kinghorn, as well as Hugh Jones, the man who created the first initial line break Okay, Jack Dempsey saying to James Dolman, it has to be looked at. Oh, it is a deliberate knockdown from Robbie Henshaw, I believe, an extended arm. Great run from Hugh Jones. Right, they're just going to check to see if it's in the tackle or whether it is a cynical infringement from Robbie Henshaw that stops. I think it's a tackle attempt from Henshaw, but he does catch the ball. It's going to be an interesting one. Right, they're going to the TMO now. They're checking the actions of Robbie Henshaw, Anzac versus British and Irish Lions. Sounds good to me. Although by the sounds of it, there's not going to be many Kiwis on that team. Use you for rugby and the Toon Review for soccer, says Martin. Right, the replay now for Henshaw. He is going for the tackle, but that arm is a long way away from his body. They've said it's a natural action. There's a bit of something in it, though. He does. Ooh, that could have gone either way, but they say it's a natural action of wrapping, which means that it isn't going to be a penalty against Robbie Henshaw. I'm a bit behind Hamish, but that should be punished, says here. Right, the crowd are not happy. Obviously intentional, says here. Yeah, it's going to be the scrum to Scotland. And Scotland fight back started. And why isn't Anzac both Australia and New Zealand? It should be, but by the sounds of it, there's going to be a lot more Australians in that team than New Zealanders. I don't know whether or not that's just the rumour. Maybe that's just what they're trying to say to stir it up. But yeah, I'd assume that you want to go 50-50 in that team rather than more so one side. Who's your favourite old school wrestler? Are you going to dress as them for the Hong Kong Sevens? It might be an option, although it's a tricky one, to be honest. Like, there's a few. I'll get back to you. I got to think about it a little bit. And no pen proper order, says Barry Power. Right, it's going to be blue ball, about 7 metres out from the line. Hulk Hogan, says Roof. Well, Damo is actually dressed as Hulk Hogan at the Sevens. When is the next Seven, says Mornay? We're actually getting pretty close to it. I believe only less, or two weeks away, I think it's going to be. Roger that, says Damo. He looks at the ball and shoves his hand exactly where it's going and tries to mask it with a tackle. Classic foul play. I guess that's what they call luck of the Irish, says here. Yeah, he's probably quite lucky. 7 weeks, is it? Geez, that's a long time. Or is that 7 weeks till Hong Kong, maybe? What time Super Rugby start? It is going to be 7:05 p.m. on Friday night. Nice back line from the Scottish. And they're going to try and bulldoze. Tell you what, bulldoze in his way over was almost the smallest or one of the smallest players on the field. Right, there was already a penalty advantage. Ireland's discipline's going downhill now. And yes, says Damo. Right, James Dolman, he has a big decision to make here. Ben White wants to take it quickly, but they can't quite find the mark. Going to be 5 metres out. It's an easy 3 if they want it. And in fact, that would get them within the 7. And that's what they're going to do. Come on, Scotland, do it, says Robert Wood. See, this is slowly, the pressure's starting to change a little bit. And come on, Scotland, says here. And Ireland, they look confused. They don't know what's happening in the second half, at least the Irish coaches. I just get the... Whose accent's that? That sound a bit South African. Was that... Oh, no, that might have been Jack Dempsey. That might have been a bit of an Aussie twang that we heard there. And come on, Scotty, says Sakabula. And Scotland might come back. Apologies for leaving. I was sleeping. That's probably a decent reason to leave, Charles. So if you do want to sleep, it is completely fine. I don't recommend having a sleep schedule like myself, or else you do forget what day it is. Not all, plenty of the time. So here's Barry Power. Gregor Townsend looking stoic in the coaching box. Possession at the moment, 75% in favour of the Scottish for the second half. I won't pay the BBC TV license either. Great game, says Tom Butler. And yeah, the good news is most of the time the Six Nations highlights on YouTube are about 15 minutes long. So, like, you get a decent feel of the game even if you don't want to watch it live, if that makes sense. There's going to be a knock on there from Scotland just outside of their 22. This is a chance that Ireland needed just to get their hands on the ball. Going for the post tells you how little confidence they have. I wouldn't say that's necessary. I think the last time that they did it, more so. But that time it's just to get back within the 7. But in this case, Ireland, of course, they will be chasing the 7, I would think. Although also they might go for the 3. Get back ahead by more than the 7. We get another try for Scotland. Ireland will crumble. And I think Wales have fallen with a huge bump. Yeah, like big time. But hopefully, you know, they find their rhythm at some point. It's going to take time, though. Got 4 fingers in the middle one. As for the BBC says here. And don't pay the BBC, says James Evan. Right, scrum feed now for Ireland. And they get the free kick. Gibson Park taking the quick tap. Goes across to Sam Prendergast. A little bit of a low pass to Calvin Nash. But he's done well to hang on to it. Scotland getting the clean steal. And now chance for the counter-attack. Big shots coming in. That looked like a very scrappy breakdown. It's what Ireland were able to do throughout that first half. And it did lead to them getting the ball a couple of times. Committing at least one. So Tyg Byrne this time is the nominated man to try and cause that disruption. Ball's high. Oh, that's a hard landing. But it's going to sit up for James Lowe. Passes on the outside to Doris. Gibson Park on the outside. Little chipper behind from the 9. And Kinghorn. He's going to be wrestled down. Keeps the ball alive. Very risky. And it's going to be a 5-metre scrum now for Ireland. Great little chip from Gibson Park. Kinghorn, he just never had that support man to be able to help him out from where he was. And so they've said it was a fair contest. Got their ball, Kinghorn. Yeah, he only really had Xander Fagerson, and I don't think he was going to be booting it if he ended up with possession. That France-England game was one hell of a game. Yeah, best game of the Six Nations, I would say, so far. And honestly, I think it would be the whole Six Nations. Like, it's going to be hard to beat that. And Scotland need this one to cross the Rubicon. I have no idea what the Rubicon is. As Crowley on the bench, he is. He's going to be number 22. Speaking of number 20 or more, Jack Conan now making his way onto the field. That is for Peter O'Mahony, who will make his way off. He had a good turnover in the first half, which did help this Irish side out. Wales must get a new coach and new voice. Will be better for Wales, says Mornay. We have got there, boo, that Kiwi guy in green sucks, man, says Drape. I assume you're talking about Gibson Park. But it did lead to the 5-metre scrum. Going to be in a good position on the field now. Now, I've got the whole width of the field to work with to the right. Prendergast, he's known for a cross kick every once in a while, but they've got the penalty advantage now from scrum time here, Ireland. Only 3 metres out from the line. Gibson Park going back across. Prendergast, wide cut-out pass. Numbers here for Ireland. But they just can't quite break through that Scottish defence. Gibson Park this time looks to the right. Prendergast, short ball. Still 5 metres separating them. Jack Conan goes short side. It's going to be slightly held up by Jack Dempsey. Now another flat ball from Gibson Park goes to Josh Van Flair. On the verge of sneezing again, but we'll try and hold it off for a little bit longer. James Lowe, chance on the outside. No, doesn't even need him. And, he scores the try. Yes, he does. It looked like he was going to be held up for a little bit of time there, but James Lowe does get another try for Ireland, and that now gives them 3-1. Moment, we're about to sneeze, so I'll quickly mute. I'm good. And so is James Lowe, managing to score the 3rd one of the match for Ireland. We have there 39.5 plus or minus. Chat what you think, please reply. It sounds like you're just trying to place a bet, Nuke Joy. So I would assume if you're having to ask, you probably shouldn't place the bet. We have got there Scott's turning it around, says Ruth. James Lowe is a bloody animal. He murdered England as well, says Sebastian. Yeah, now 22 points to 11, separated by 11 points with a kick to come. And he gets it over, so that brings it back out to 13 points difference. Oh, yeah, good there. God bless you, says Martin. And Six Nations isn't quite as good without a proper Welsh side. I'm English, says Tom Butler. And wise words, Hamish says here. And that's good, mate. You're doing absolutely great. Hamish says JD. And Ireland have two good young fly halves replacing Sexton, Prendergast, and Crowley. Yeah, like they're going to be in good hands. And it seems like changing the fly half hasn't slowed down that ruck speed in terms of being able to get that ball from the ruck out the back line. So that's the main thing that they were wanting when having those new guys. But Ireland, with the ball again, Prendergast kicking downfield. He's got a big boot on him too. Definitely when he tries to torpedo it. Neck roll on low there. Says Bill, and think Jack Morgan and Dewey Lake will be in the Lions. I think Jack Morgan's earned it. Like, in terms of what he's been able to do in a struggling Welsh team. That's going to be the penalty going against Caelan Doris. Entry through the side. And the Kiwi lad scores, unpopular opinion. Without the Kiwis, Ireland goes down to between 9 to 10 in the rankings. Or sorry, 7 to 10. I don't know how I read 9 in that situation. OMG, Scotland are kind of poor. Just a shame, looking forward to a better match, says Dennis. Although it's not over yet. Scotland, they haven't been able to score in the second half, but if they score now and convert with the chance that they've got, we're back within 7. And when does the Lions tour, says Little Kenny. It is taking place in 2025. I believe it's during June. I think is June the start of it, or does it start a little bit earlier than June? In May. I think it is June though. The squad gets announced relatively early. Now going back across to the left-hand side. So that's Gibson Park, Loanaki in it. Anyone else? No, I believe that's just the 3 that they'll be talking about. Ben White going left again here. They've done well shutting him down throughout this game. He hasn't really found his rhythm from that 9, but then saying that when they are rushing up the Irish, it does make it hard to get that ball moving quickly. Skip pass from Scotland. Doesn't find the hands until it bounces up for, I believe it was Jamie Dobie, who's had a very busy start to this match since coming on. And Scotland are not poor. Ireland are very good. Says Robert. Now skip pass out wide. I believe that is Ewan Ashman. Now White goes to Fagerson, Pierre Scorman. So a few changes have been made for Scotland, and the penalty to Ireland for not releasing in the breakdown. Excited for France versus Ireland, Hamish? I am. I think it will be possibly the decider for the Six Nations. But I do think bonus points are so crucial. So Ireland, even though they're winning this game by 13, I think they need another try. To date, there have been 133 non-New Zealand born, non-Maori Pacific Islanders who have played for the All Blacks, says Kurnovic. With your hard schedule, you do well not to get bags under your eyes. I want to take 3 to 5 wrestlers' costumes with me. Oh, so you're going to go interchanging them for Hong Kong. I feel like you've got your classic Macho Man and Hulk Hogan again, just because they're the ones that like everyone knows. Stone Cold Steve Austin you could also look at, but then it's just a bald cap, isn't it, with a vest on. So, like, yeah, I think if you're going to go old school, you got to find those really well-known guys that everyone seems to know. I'm still massaging, says If, I'll call you. Welcome back, mate. You seem to pop in quite a bit. I know that you do it as, like, a bit of a joke, but it is greatly appreciated you coming back every few weeks. And don't take that as a pun either. 22 minutes left. Ireland on attack. Gibson Park, 30 metres out from the line. Onto the right-hand side here with Ty Byrne. Been in a battle today. He's had quite a few big knocks. He's managed to stay out there for the full 58 minutes. Gibson Park, loose ball for Ireland. Prendergast, little pop pass. That's going to be loose again. Just seems like Ireland at the moment are rushing it, trying to create something. The Ultimate Warrior, he's another one that you could be. Bret Hart with a lovely attire. Think suited him. That's probably another good... Oh, that's a good shot coming in. But no, they've said it's in the air because the guy jumped while claiming the ball. I don't like that law, as I feel like it's very much so... Oh, that's going to be a try anyway. Very much so for the Irish. But yeah, I feel like jumping when you catch the ball and then players not being able to tackle you is kind of stupid, because if you're going to kick it in behind, let's say, and then you're 1 meter out from the line, you can just jump and no one can tackle you and you can just score the try. Because unless they, of course, hold you up in the process. But Jack Conan does score anyway. South African winger player. Duan Funamurva is out there on the field. Does score the lone try for the Scottish in this one. But yeah, sits up, jumps for the ball there for Hugo Keenan. And then passed out wide to Conan, who finishes the job. And the bonus point for Ireland as well. To 29 points on the board. Disappointed with Scotland here. Yeah, I was hoping it would be a lot closer. Individual game. More imports than Japanese car yard. And great call, guys, says Adamo. And what time for the end? Still another 20 minutes remaining in this matchup. Was there any cover before Rugby Itch came in at your streams? Was there any cover, as in like who we used to get to do the streams? No, it's pretty much just Tim when he's available. And easy overall victory for us today, says Barry. I'm old enough to remember back when Scotland thought they had a chance, says Bill. That's the thing, like, they just haven't found their rhythm, have they, throughout this game, Scotland? And even if they were to score quickly now, it's still, you know, at best it looks like a losing bonus point for the Scottish. That's a beautiful pass out wide, though, to Duan Funamurva. Now it moves within 22 metres for Scotland. Going Ireland, says Cat. 29-11, and once again, a lack of ball security in the breakdown. Conan gets over it. I feel like if you're France, side that will have to play Ireland later on, you look at that and you go, right, we need to get bodies in the breakdowns, because Scotland have isolated themselves big time, and then Conan's just got back up, managed to steal it, and wins that penalty in his side's favour. And we look at there, Terry Hogan and Crocodile McDundee, says Mr. Marmite. Huge gap between number 1 and 6 in Europe, says Sakabula. Now another line out here for the Irish. And Sheehan, normally a guaranteed try scorer. That's not... Okay, so James Dolman's explained that well. So you still have to get a straight line out if it goes more than 15 metres, whether there's a contest or not. That wasn't too wonky. That was actually relatively straight from Sheehan. Jack Conan is a machine. I was expecting more from Scotland. Luckily, England won yesterday, or else the Six Nations becomes the Two Nations, says George. And France versus Ireland will be at a different level altogether, says Barry Power. Yeah, that game, we'll just quickly get the exact date. The exact date of that one. Of course, it will be different for you guys in the north, but it is going to be taking place on the 9th of March. So that's the 8th of March for the Northern Hemisphere and South African ones. If England can win, so can Scotland. Yeah, and at the moment, Scotland in the TAB, they're saying that they won't get within 19 points. Oh, in fact, no, sorry, they're saying they will just get within the 19. Ireland outclassing Scotland in the breakdown, yeah. There's been about 3 or 4 steals that Scotland just have had no one in those positions. On the halfway line now, Scotland with ball in hand, and Ireland now have stolen it back. Dan Sheehan passes straight back to Scotland, but they'll go back for some sort of advantage. There was a forward on the ground, I think, says... Oh, no, lost forward on the ground. A Six Nations Teams relegation, says Mark Smith. Yeah, although, like, the last game between, let's say, Georgia and Wales, Wales did still win it. So, like, yes, they might beat them just at this current moment, but at the same time, you know, if you have promotion and relegation, like, is it going to be good for a side like Georgia? I'm not saying this would happen, by the way. I think in some games they would be competitive, but if Georgia came in and lost, let's say, 60-0 to Ireland and lost 50-0 to France, and, or maybe not nil, but that, you know, like if they lost really badly, yes, Wales are losing badly at the moment, but like, what would it, like, is it going to be something that's viable to bring a side in that might get dominated for the competition? Yes, maybe they'll win a game every once in a while, but like it is a tricky one. Plus, is it going to generate enough revenue that these six sides do? Because even though Wales are struggling and a lot of people are slightly giving up on them, they still do bring a lot of revenue to this competition. But Georgia, I need to be able to step up level. Says Barry, I got a joke for you. What do you call a Mexican who doesn't like protein shakes? I honestly have no idea. Damo, let us know. That's a nice kick in behind from Sam Prendergast, but it was taken back, so it won't be the 50-22. No way, Jose. It's a good one. I didn't mind that one. And Italy were brutally dominated for years and years, and look at them now, no more spoon. Says Sebastian. Now exactly, Townsend absolutely needs to go. Says Kerr. And Ireland has steak in their hands. What are they doing with it in there? I got a Scotsman barman, and he wants to have... interesting. Ewan Ashman now throwing the ball in, 10 metres out from the line. And the ball's dropped again by Scotland, but they did have the penalty in their favour. They considered the quick tap, but instead now they will kick it towards the touchline. Ireland bonus point is a good result. Yeah, absolutely. They will be looking for bonus points from all of their games, because even if they were to lose to France, if they're getting those bonus points, they should still be high enough to be at the top. Or you're not as good as you think you are, says Barry. But that you're literally agreeing with him, Barry. You're saying that Scotland aren't as good as they are, and he's saying that the coach has been one of the problems for Scotland recently. So you guys are literally saying the same thing. Like, because this Scotland side, it cannot be debated that when they find their rhythm, they are extremely hard to beat. They just haven't been able to find that rhythm often enough with the player pool that they've got. It's going to be a knock-on now from Ireland. Initial one was back, and then it did travel forward, so Scotland will have themselves another scrum. Well, as long as it excites and leads to success, says Tristan. And Crawley and Prendergast, interesting, says Maeve. And six Wales, 5 Italy, 4 Scotland, 3 spots available. Says JD, as the Scotland's penalty goals coming back to bite them, should have gone for the line A. I think so. I think that first one, when they were down by 11 points or whatever it was, I think it might have been 9 points, in fact. Like, that was the one that I feel should have gone corner bound. Definitely because it was early on in the half and they had Ireland giving away a couple penalties in quick succession. I'm not saying the Scotland side are number one, but they are better than what Townsend can get from them, and that is just a fact. Says Kerr. Now Matt Fagerson going off to the left-hand side. It's going to be loose, but Scotland, like, they're having problems with the amount of times Ireland are in that breakdown causing the issues. And yes, they've been penalised for it a few times, Ireland, but more times than not, they've been able to find a way of getting in there and getting that turnover. No players are not that good. No players are not that good. Not the coach. He is overachieving with that team. I think that's where 90% of people would disagree with you. But if that's what you want to think, then that's fine, I guess. But all you got to do is look at the Glasgow Warriors and what they're able to do in the URC and how dominant at times they have been able to be. And that tells you the big difference. If Ireland denies Scotland a bonus point, it will be difficult for Scotland for their chances, says Brian. If Six Nations got bigger to 8, would they add Portugal or Georgia and perhaps Portugal? Maybe. I think there is still a bit of a gap there between the 6 in here. Even with Wales struggling, there's still that gap. But eventually, maybe they could look at extending it. An halftime pep talk, says Tristan. Grant Gilchrist will make his way from the field. He's had a busy game today. Sam Skinner makes his way onto the field, and also Will Hurd is on for Xander Fagerson. Keep in mind, before Scotland, Tony was at Warriors and did sweetly fall there as well. Says Kerr. Yeah, exactly right. Like, Glasgow's defence is insane. And if Scotland were able to get up to that same standard as well as their attack, because most of these guys are Glasgow Warriors anyway, so, you know, it's one of those ones, if you get the right balance with player and coach, like, they've got a pretty good system at the moment in terms of who's coming up through the rankings. There was a gap between Argentina and the Rugby Championship, says Mark Smith, and probably right drape, says Brian. Our European Cups AF Scott team won again. Ireland teams have won 7, says Barry Power. I mean, you can look at history, but it's not really relevant to what we were saying about Glasgow's form now. Because, like, some bloke might have won a trophy 20 years ago, but he's not playing now in this current setup. So you're slightly contradicting yourself in terms of the fact that you're saying this current Scottish team aren't good enough because Ireland won a cup like 10 years ago. Doesn't quite work. Calcutta Cup, switching hands this year, says Sebastian. It'll be an interesting game when it takes place. That's going to be another penalty going the way of the Irish. Turning the shoulder going against Hurd. He's only just made his way onto the field. Glasgow will win nothing. They literally won the URC, Barry, last year. I don't know whether you watched that competition, but they won it. Away from home, up against a South African side that were considered favourites heading into that contest, and they won it. So now I'm starting to wonder whether we should take much of your word. Our Europeans like to play sports on Sundays and loving people. Townsend has left out Horn and Matthews. He is determined to involve lower quality players. Yeah, I think Ben White hasn't been at his best for this game, that is for sure. And yes, says Robert, that kick from Prendergast sneaks over, and it's going to make the score 32 points to 11 now. A very nice kick. Prendergast has been on song off the tee today. I don't believe he's had any misses. And also has been extremely clinical in terms of his passing. Couple assists to his name. And I hope France lose to the Scots, says Drape. And we have there who will get the steak at the end of the match. Is the steak a reference to man of the match, or is it just literally they get fed beef? I assume they get some sort of meal afterwards, wouldn't they? But now 10 minutes remaining in this contest. The score / gap is widening. Might as well change the name from British and Irish Lions to English Lions. Says Mr. Marmite. Connor Murray now on the field for Gibson Park. Porter off for Kean Healy. Another penalty going the way of Scotland this time. Right. I believe this time they will have to kick this one towards the corner. My team is in the 8 teams Six Nations champ Italy, says Drape. Now towards the touchline. 97-year-old Kean Healy. He's been around for a long time, hasn't he? Yet, he still plays some great rugby. And that's the thing. With props, sometimes they have that longer kind of career span. Don't they have dinner with the 2 teams? Normally, you get some sort of catering after the match. It's either a very tension-filled evening if the game's been a bit of biffo involved, or everyone gets along. They're singing in Dublin County. Says Tristan, man of the match should probably be the Scottish fans that haven't left yet. Says Sebastian. Yeah, it would have been a very frustrating watch, I would think, for them throughout this game. And that's going to be now going the way of Ireland for scrum time. And Healy's last year, I say, yeah, he's getting close to the end. But, like, I feel like he probably still could go, but it's just whether or not there's injuries and whatnot. So he's got to do what's right for him in terms of, you know, if he feels like he's getting close to the end. But, like, he's still a great impact player off the bench for Ireland if they did want to use him in that role. But then they might also want to look at a younger guy for the future. I remember a video where George was hitting a pan for the steak mukbang at the start of the video, and you were feeling vibe. Yeah, so that would have been when we tried to cook steaks. He is 37 though. Yeah, but like I said, props. I mean, you could just got to look at someone like a Brock Harris playing for the Stormers. Though I don't know if you watched the URC. So, but like, he's one of those guys that seems like he could go another 3 or 4 years if he really wanted to. I don't know whether he would, but yeah, it's just whether or not Kean Healy has any injuries, because he had that one, I think it was last year, wasn't it? And that kind of looked like, oh, is he going to want to come back? And he's still got that hunger. Now going off to the left-hand side here, that looked like playing the 9 from the Irish. Quick hands out wide to Duan van der Merwe. Scotland Don't have enough time left. Still get a couple more tries. Wouldn't even put them within 7 though, but give them a nice finish to this contest. Some nice stepping coming from Blair King on ball on the inside to Hugh Jones. And not at international level. Says Barry. Yeah, although it's different if you're an impact player off the bench because, you know, yes, every once in a while you might have to have a long game, but you're also more looking at that last 20 or so minutes when you make your way on. We have the Scottish fight back started and stopped. And can Scotland score 3 tries in 10 minutes? I don't think so. And WJ has said, luckily, the jersey of the Lions was not white yet. Navy of the Scots and red of Wales. Oh, jumping straight in there. And once again, Ireland. Oh, that was close to the turnover. I was halfway through saying that they got it. But referee says play on. 20 metres out from the line. Ben White. Ireland are just up there in their face every single time, although there are starting to look like a few more tired bodies as they make their way forward, and that's going to be the advantage. And at an injury 10 years, when he had to learn to walk again, so still playing now is kind of a miracle, says Barry. And yeah, the fact that he decided to come back as well tells you that he has still got that hunger for rugby. You know, like some players after that would have gone, right, I'm hanging up the boots because I don't want to do that anymore. But he went, no, I'll get back in there. I'm going to cook magic carpet bagger steak for Hamish soon. Great commentary, Hamish, says Tristan. Magic carpet bagger. I have no idea what that is. But it's intriguing. We have got there, because you taste gross marmite, says Drape. Now, Scotland once again have the option to be able to kick this one towards the corner. Just a very good low tackle made by Dan Sheehan, but unfortunately couldn't get out of there. Anger is usually what drives one. Are Scotland being outplayed or are they just playing badly? It's a bit of both. Like Ireland, we cannot take anything away from what they've done. They've got in the breakdowns, they've stolen the ball. But Scotland have looked a little bit under par, and that could be down to Ireland's pressure. But it just seems like there's been a lack of cohesion for Scotland in this game. It's definitely not the normal performance you'd expect from them at Murrayfield. Is it possible that you're going to do any live commentary tomorrow because I want to see you stream every day? Says Charles. I don't think we have anything, but you're going to get probably sick of me next weekend because there's going to be a lot of streams all in a row, like Super Rugby as well as the URC. Ben White, that looks very close to being down. Yes, it is, and Scotland score their second of the match. They're running back. They think that they can still get 1 or 2 more. And I Hamish France versus Ireland to finish the Six Nations is going to be a cracker. Thanks for the commentary, mate, says Joss. Thank you very much for being here. It is great to see you. 4.5 minutes remaining. Scotland move up to 16. Honestly, one more try from Scotland doesn't make the scoreboard look too bad, but the end result is still the same, and that is that Ireland would have 5 points from this contest. Right, the time is off. We're not wasting time, says James Dolman. I don't know why Scotland would want to waste time. They are currently the team down by 16. Try Scotland, whatever, says Sebastian. And Super Basketball, when does that start? Super Basketball. Is that your reference to Super Rugby, I assume? If it is, it's Friday next week. Well, that'll be Thursday for you guys. No, sorry, Friday morning for you guys in the north as well as South Africa. Scotland's problem is they trust Van der Merwe. He's not as good as they think. When he flopped, Scotland flopped. Thanks, Hamish. Oh, no, I read the next one because of no trust in each other. And honestly, like, since Finn Russell came off the field, Scotland have looked a little bit more put together, if that makes sense, in terms of the way that they've been playing. They did lose Graham at the same time, though. But, yeah, I think that George Horne should have been in this lineup, just for what he's been able to do for Glasgow. Plus, there's so many other Glasgow guys in this team. So it would have made perfect sense. If France beats Ireland, what will happen? Then it will be very close for the end of the Six Nations, and it could come down to those bonus points, which is what Ireland has got. More structure. And Van der Merwe is usually overrated, says Kerr. Now going back to the left-hand side. Okay, bye. All love you guys till next time. So we will see you probably next weekend, Ruth. Scotland inside of their own 22. Score 18 points to 32 at the moment. So they are down by 14. They would need 2 converted tries in the next 3 minutes if they want to draw this game. The chances of that happening are not very high. But nice tackle made on James Lowe. A counter ruck coming from Scotland. They can't get the ball though. Connor Murray. Now Prendergast. No, in fact, this time Crowley. And England can still win. They need to focus, or they need France's help, says Robert. Yeah, that's the thing. If someone beats Ireland along the way, like England have a chance, France have a chance, but that Grand Slam after this game, there is only one side that can win that Grand Slam, or win via the Grand Slam, and that is Ireland. Can they do it? Doubt it. I've never wanted a country to be invaded like I do now, says Drape. Right, it's going to be a double knock on, so it is going to be the scrum. 2 minutes remaining. Okay, so James Dolman was getting told by Ben White, can we please speed this up a little bit? And James Dolman went, but you're talking to me. So probably a fair statement. Player of the match is Sam Prendergast. He has had great game off the kicking tee. Had some great moments as well in terms of that passing. Got the assist. Calvin Nash has disappeared. Is he still on the field? Have we mentioned Calvin Nash this half? I don't even know if he's touched the ball in the last 38 minutes or so. Penalty advantage Scotland, says Brian. And so much for Ireland crumbling. A well played boy, well played. Big love to our Scottish cousins. We love one another. Win or lose, rain or shine, Six Nations. Are we? Says Gurno Wick. And Nash came off for Crowley. But when did Crowley come on? He didn't come on out. Oh, or was it at half? No, Crowley hasn't been on for the full half, has he? I know that they made the early change of Dan Sheehan, who subbed off about 15 minutes ago. Okay, so for that first 20 minutes of the half, or 25 minutes, we just didn't really see him. All big run forward from Pierre Schoolman. Scotland, if they score now, they can get a bonus point. So their Six Nations could still be alive if they can convert a try in the very near future. But nice attack and run forward. A little bit of a slip, but it's gone out wide. Oh, another drop ball. It's gone backwards. No, it hasn't. Referee says forward, and now only 19 seconds remaining. Should be closed out. Try of the weekend. Ooh, try of the weekend. Tell you what, that France counter-attack where Belbari scored, that was pretty good. In terms of straight away when you mentioned about it, that was the one that came to mind as definitely a try of the week contender. What else have we had in terms of great tries? I wouldn't say that any that I can think of throughout this game have been absolutely sensational in terms of flair or anything. Ireland have had some great passes across to score with the forwards. But yeah, I'd probably go that Belbari try in that French game. Daily for England, that was a good one. And also in terms of importance, that was massive. Right, Ireland, we're after the 80 minutes. They want one more. This seems risky, but it is the points differential that they're possibly looking at here. A nice inside ball, but it could also cost them, because if they lost a game and Scotland somehow were able to win all the rest of theirs with bonus points, it could be the difference, right? The ball was out. Connor Murray. Now going in. Yeah, Ireland, they're going to back themselves to get one more right near the end of this game. Little grubber behind from Prendergast, put a little bit of extra juice on it as well. Duan van der Merwe has to try and run away, and he's taken down. So that will be the end of the contest. 32-18, a 14-point win for Ireland. Try of the week for me is England winning try, just because of the stadiums. Yeah, in terms of the one that created the most buzz, and like I said, the meaning of it, that one's definitely got to be up there as well. Yeah, that was fantastic, says Barry. A nice try from Scotland. Like England last week, too little too late, says Brian. And Beyond the Pale and Rubicon have similarities. We've got cannibalism still rife on some of the remote islands. I have no idea where that's come from, but welcome in, Eric. Hope you're doing well. We have got the Yes Beyond the Pale. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? And Hamish, says Frederick, welcome in. As long as it's friendly pork, they don't eat. How did you guys start talking about? Where did that come from? That were it was the talk of steak, I guess, and people have gone, oh, you know what else you can eat? But you shouldn't. And handy enough, Scotland missing their best players today, says Barry Power. Yeah, I feel like the the selection is still a little bit of a question mark. Andy Farrell, big smile on his face after watching the Irish get the job done. Handy enough. I know, I read that one. I think I said that twice. Plymouth knocked Liverpool out of the FA Cup. That is a massive upset, isn't it? Like, Liverpool should have been heavy favourites by a massive amount, I would think. We're going to look here. What was the end score? Yeah, 1-0. Plymouth shouldn't have won that game, I wouldn't think. Lineups, who did Liverpool have? Okay, so they went with a bit more of a makeshift team, but I feel like those guys aren't going to be the most popular now. The centre is a huge loss to them. Yeah, not having Tui Pilotu does hurt massively. Well done, Ireland, says Robert. And cheers a lot for the weekend of quality rugby, Hamish. Do take care of yourself. And also thank Hamish, great commentary as always from Marlow. But yeah, we will be back next weekend for Super Rugby. Cheers, Hamish, Super Rugby preview this week. I'm considering it. I feel like my predictions, though, in terms of the preview side of things, aren't the best. So, like, maybe a couple of the games we'll target as ones that will break down a little bit more once the lineups are announced. Maybe, you know, Crusaders, Hurricanes might be one to look at, as well as we'll have a quick look at what other one we might look at doing some sort. Yeah, probably Blues versus Chiefs as well. Those two games might be the ones that we look at a little bit more specifically. And I think Scotland, once again, are just not at the races. They always capitulate, never show up against Ireland for whatever reason, says James. Yeah, actually a very similar score, I believe, to the World Cup between the two sides. World Cup, Ireland versus Scotland. 36-14 was the score there. So the extra 4 points that Ireland did have, Scotland scored this time. So still pretty similar, though, in that regard. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you, of course, did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for good commentary again, Hamish. Well done. Very natural and honest. Bye for now. See you, Robert. And we go there. Thank you, Kiwi lads. Take care, Hamish, says JD. Will Super Rugby expand again? Maybe eventually. They might look at adding a side or two into it, maybe even bringing it back up to 14 sides. But for now, it's just going to be the 11. Could you link up with 2 cents and Distracted for their podcast? I once had a short cameo. I was on Tony's phone, I believe. But yeah, I was recently up that way, but sadly, like a few hours from where they are, and it just didn't link up with schedules. But maybe one day I will get the chance to go on it. And great Steam, thanks so much to Zero Connection. But yeah, nonetheless, do thank you all very much for being here. We will see you all next week. We've got plenty coming up. URC, Super Rugby, and of course the next week back into the Six Nation and there as well. But nonetheless, we will see you all for the next one.